I might steal one from you. Hey everybody, this is Daryl, aka Thuggy, from the Simply Incredible podcast. And today, was it 4 years in the making or something?
I mean, it's been a long time.
My good friend Fred Hall Direct Edition.
How you guys doing? Welcome to another episode of Fred Hall Direct Edition. I finally got my big brother D, who I really look up to. You know what I'm saying? And we're here finally.
And I was thinking about this today. I think it's been, like I say, 3-4 years ago. I was like, hey, man, are you going to ever make it to the Heroes Con in Charlotte? We can meet up, hang, and do some digging. This is the weekend for Heroes Con.
Wow.
So I was like, man, this works out so great.
I could lie and say I'm coming up there, but I really have a legitimate excuse of COVID-19. The COVID-19 is messed up.
Yeah,
so many people up. I'm going to the one here in Atlanta. I think that we should be a little bit more educated about COVID-19. It's called Dragon Con.
Yep.
I actually have my custom-made Bane mask that I made from scratch. All I have to do is paint it black, and I guess I'll be the 6-foot-tall African-American dreads Bane there at the Dragon Con. So
you'll be better than Tom Hardy.
So it's pretty cool. When you go to the cons, do you dress up or you kind of just go?
I just dress up as the host of a world famous podcast.
Oh, that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool.
No one has the idea.
I really salivate on the day where I hear Rob Jefferson from Comics Explained say that a lot of times when he's at the cons, people hear his voice and be like, "Oh my God, it's Rob!" You know. I will long for those days for people to be like, "Hey, it's Fred," just like D from Simply Incredible podcast.
It's Fred with the sexy fingers.
Yeah, allow my sexy fingers to interrupt the conversation. So,
one thing you keep mentioning, you mentioned Rob from Comic Explains. One thing I love about him is he'll say something and he had that little chuckle that he has.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, he's to me his well, first of all, we're channels, right? And we're both we're both secure in our spot in YouTube. So it's nothing for us to give praise to another YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But Rob Jefferson, if you were a fan of him for the past 7 years or whatever, you realize that he's almost like a college professor. When you listen to his videos, he takes you to school and he educates you.
I mean, he goes so deep into the topics. It's amazing to me. I love listening to him.
Oh yeah, his one thing I know I'm very knowledgeable, but I will give credit to him. He has expanded my knowledge on characters such as Nathan Exis, which is Mr. Sinister. He also broadened my horizon on Cable. So, because Cable and Apocalypse, Apocalypse history is not hard to decipher, but Cable himself, oh my God, his history is just all kind of jumbled or whatever. So, but yeah, some of the people that I look up to, first of all, is I'll always be your channel. You're my big brother.
See, now you're trying to suck up.
No,
keep it coming.
What did Nick Foley say? Cheap props and props. Yeah. So I'm giving you a Nick Foley pop right now. But one of the ones that I love is definitely you. Definitely another one is Tom Ryan. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Tom Ryan. And then you have Comics Explained, and my last one is right on the tip of my tongue. Would be Shartimus Prime, who does action figure reviews.
Nice.
I know some of us that collect comics don't collect. Some people just collect comics. Some people just collect pops. Some people just collect action figures. But I believe that me and you have expanded because we've been collecting so long. We collect all of that.
Yeah.
So you get all of that in our channels. It's not just comic books or whatever. So
the one good thing, I hate to say there's any good thing about the current situation is I've been able to save a lot of money. I'm not going anywhere, so
Well, the thing about it is the education I've got from your channel is if I really wanted to, I could get a subscription to Midtown Comics.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've been doing recently is, I've gotten heavily into the Diamond Select statues. Matter of fact, one of the videos that's going to be out tomorrow, if I could do a cheap plug, is going to be your Diamond Select Punisher statue.
Punisher.
So I'm definitely going to release that one tomorrow. Frank Castelloni, one of our favorite characters of all time, So I've gotten heavily into the statues. Now, me and you, people don't understand the reason why me and you are more closer than a lot of people is because, first of all, Harley Quinn, and then second of all, our love for WWE.
I mean, I may not have put these out here specifically for you.
So, we love some Harley Quinn. Now, have you been able to watch the cartoon? I haven't. I've seen the first season at Walmart, but I'm
gonna put that out.
Yeah, it's actually out. It's it's at a cheaper price. It's like $17.
Not bad. Yeah, I watched season 1, and I don't know. You haven't seen any of it though, have you?
No, I've been waiting. I'm the type of person where I kind of I love Christmas. I love the anticipation of opening up the present, and I don't stay away from reviews. That's the funny thing about it. People always tell me about the latest movie and how they felt about this and how they felt about that. But I'm the type of person where I can listen to you, but I form my own opinion when I see it. But from the clips I've seen of the cartoon, it looks very adult and it looks funny. It almost looks like her comics.
Only thing that I don't like is Kelly Cuoco's voice for Harley.
Oh, so she's not a good. Okay, so what's the original? Her name is Sorkin, Arlene
Sorkin, I think her name. And then, but really for me it was even a little. I mean, I loved that when it first came out. It's actually how I fell in love with Harley. Was Mad Love, but then when the Arkham video games come out.
Oh yes,
Tara Strong did the voice, and I was like, "This is amazing."
Yeah, she did I remember the famous "Nanny Nanny Nanny." Yeah. I was like, everybody remembers that. So, but people when you ask me why I like Harley Quinn, I really can't give you a definite answer. She's just one of those characters that kind of just attach themselves to me.
Goodbye.
I'm a big fan of Deadpool too, and people compare them a lot. But Deadpool had to transition into the character that he is now. Deadpool didn't start out the funny version of Deadpool. He started out more of a serious character that would show up and battle Cable and work for Mr. Tolliver, which is we found out is Cable's son. But then I forget what the writer's name who got attached to Deadpool, and he actually gave us the wall-breaking, wisecracking Deadpool, which everybody loves now.
Yeah.
But if you really, I don't think people really realize that Deadpool is so close to the Ninja Turtles that we grew up on, the 1980s Ninja Turtles. But he's still a cool character too. And the reason why I bring him up with Harley Quinn is because both of them burst on the scene around the same time in the 90s. So they're fairly new characters, but the price of their first appearance has skyrocketed, which is amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because Rob Liefeld, who created Deadpool, he said he wanted a character to be just like Deathstroke.
Deathstroke the Terminator.
Wade Wilson. He was like, "There's no secret. You look at their names."
Wade Wilson, Slade Wilson.
Yeah, and he started out basically being an identical copy, and then later on, I think I have the issue. It was like a Wizard Zero or something, where they actually transitioned. Someone put it out the more comedic aspect, breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, I read earlier on one of my favorite all-time run of comics is Deadpool the Merc with the Mouth. And the reason why I love Deadpool the Merc with the Mouth is because, first of all, I'm a child of the 90s, so I grew up listening to Nirvana. I saw when Kurt Cobain burst on the scene with the Nirvana.
Yes,
and now now they're Foo Fighters. But
Oh yeah.
I remember the album cover of Nevermind with the baby swimming in the pool getting a dollar or whatever.
Yeah.
And when I saw Merc with the Mouth actually rip that cover off, and then they ripped off the cover of Aliens, they ripped off the cover of a bunch of movies, you know what I'm saying? Like The Earth Stood Still and all that kind of stuff. And the actual story of the Merc with the Mouth was so funny and entertaining because Deadpool would visit these different universes, and that's when you got Lady Deadpool, that's when you got Headpool, that's when you got Kidpool. So it was very awesome, the Merc with the Mouth. That's one of my favorite Deadpool stories of all time. So
nice. Yeah, Deadpool. Gosh, I'll be honest. I was not big on Deadpool until after the movie.
Yeah, but then look who
I was like, this character's great.
Look who's playing him.
Yeah.
I mean, you got one of the best actors of our time, which is Ryan Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Ryan Reynolds?
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. You know, he's from the time I saw him in a movie called Waiting, which is a cult classic. People don't know about Waiting.
I know very much about Waiting.
Oh my God, that movie is so hilarious. But oh my God, when I saw him in Waiting, I fell in love with his character. And then when I saw him play Hannibal King in Blade Trinity, the third Blade
I love the Blade movies. Oh my gosh, I love them.
I said this guy can definitely be a Deadpool. So I was salivating. I was over the top when I saw him actually play Deadpool in Wolverine's Origins. I was like, who else could play Deadpool but Ryan Reynolds? So I think some people are born to do certain things. He's born to play Deadpool. He is Deadpool in real life. So
it also helps that he absolutely loves the character,
and he petitioned for that movie. You know, so the next thing that can be any greater than what we've already gotten, besides all the comic. Okay, so we're talking about comic book movies, right? That's what subject we're on.
Mm-hmm.
So when we was growing up, we were in love with comics, but we didn't have any movies.
Yep.
You know, we had the sucky Captain America, which the shield, when he threw it, it took forever to hit the guy. He had a corny motorcycle. Don't ever go and look up that movie, you guys. But oh my God,
79 or something.
Oh my God, that Captain America.
Yeah.
The only thing we had was Hulk movie with Bill Bixby. Is that his name?
Yeah. The old TV series with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno.
So that's the only thing we really had. You know, we had cartoons or whatever. But then Tim Burton comes along, and he just floors everybody with his rendition of 1980s Batman. And if you see the behind the story about that, they actually wanted Eddie Murphy to play Robin. They actually wanted to be a comedy.
Yeah,
I was like, Jesus Christ! If Tim Burton wouldn't have stood by his beliefs, like we would have had another campy Batman. We wouldn't have the basically the Wolverine. Mixed with Iron Man of the DC universe, which we have now. So comic book movies have come a long way. And right after Batman settled down and got campy again, Bryan Singer hit us with the first X-Men. We were very critical of the first X-Men movie because they didn't. Give me 1 second. I'm on talking to some friends. Daddy life. Happy Father's Day for all the fathers. But the first X-Men movie we were critical of, but it did a success in letting people know our world. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Go upstairs, both of y'all. Okay, y'all go ahead. So, just movies, comic book movies, thank God for them because we were kind of in our own secret society back in the 80s and the 90s. We were in our own little bubble. But now it's popular to wear a Spider-Man shirt, you know? So,
oh gosh, I remember in the 80s when I was in high school and stuff, and you might get beat up wearing a shirt. Nerd.
Yeah, and then you gotta understand. You gotta understand too.
Except Superman, you could wear Superman because of Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, you could definitely always wear Superman. You hear the kids in the background?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me give me 1 second. Let me break away. Let me situate them.
Sorry, Daddy.
I'm sorry, D. Sorry. But that's Father's Day. But we were talking
doing what a good dad does.
Oh yeah. Get them situated. Well, I bought some Chinese food, so they definitely.
Let me just throw this in the middle of this. While you just said that, everyone go watch my man's channel. No one in comics, I've said this before, eats better than you. Whether you're cooking or whether you're going out somewhere, the first few minutes, some food, time to refuel.
Well, the refuel actually, the refuel has actually the origins of the refuel in my videos comes from. Do you know who Anthony Bourdain is?
Oh yeah.
So Anthony Bourdain, God bless, the dead or whatever. He took his life probably like 3 years ago. But Anthony Bourdain had this had the show. He had a show called No Reservations. So he's a chef and he travels the world and he eats a lot. And one thing about when you deal with art, comics, our world is not just comic books. When you deal with art, you talk about culinary, which is food.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about music, which is another form of art.
Yep.
You talk about theater, and you also talk about comics. So people try to put us in the box and be like, "Oh, they're nerds and stuff like that." But actually, when you actually look at the world of comics, it actually will expand your vocabulary. Because I remember when I first started reading comics, I was like, "Jesus Christ, what is these words that they're using?" Like they used to use these big words that now I hear people using on the regular. But when I was younger, you had a basic vocabulary. But getting back to the refuels, yeah, that's basically a dedication to one of my favorite chefs. So I was devastated to find out that he took his life, but at least he left everything to his daughter.
Yeah.
The refuels are always inspired by Anthony Bourdain.
I was always wondering about that, and I mean, I remember when I heard he did. Gosh, I hate to say it, but when I first heard, I was stunned. I mean, gosh. He goes all around the world eating the best food. I was like,
best food.
Wow.
Enjoying the best cultures, but you can, it's we live in the real world, you know what I'm saying? And the loneliest people you would never know. You would never know. Who would know that Robin Williams was lonely like that? He did Popeye. He did Hook. Robin Williams did Mrs. Doubtfire, the genie and Aladdin. Bringing all these smiles to everybody. And who would think that Robin Williams would
My
go
first
out?
introduction was back in the 70s with Mork and Mindy.
That's it. That was it. I was going to say. I was going to ask you that, but I wasn't sure. I was like, "What's the TV show that he was in?"
Hold on 1 second.
What's that? Hey, Robin Williams, yes, sir.
Yep.
That is it.
I bought this at a show at the end of last year.
I mean, that's definitely. Is that Amigo?
Is it Amigo? Can you tell? It's from the original. I mean, this is the original one from the 70s.
Wow, that is such a collector's edition.
And
look how they put him in the box upside down.
They put him in because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he used to sleep upside down on the show.
Oh, that is so awesome. That is so awesome.
Jonathan Winters was on that show too. Great show back in the day.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, that's the crazy thing about TV. TV doesn't have the family-oriented shows anymore. It's more like watching Netflix series or something like that. We grew up in
TGI Fridays,
Archie Bunk, All in the Family, The Heat of the Night.
Oh, they couldn't make those shows anymore.
Family Matters. What tripped me out the other day? I was with the boys, and one of my boys was like, "Not the mama." I said, "Not the mama." You was watching the dinosaurs? Like, Jesus Christ. The dinosaurs probably on like 2 seasons in the
I've got DVDs for those.
Oh, I didn't know, because I need to go back and get them, because actually it's funny how the younger generation knows just little pieces of how we grew up. So
gosh, I love that show back when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, dinosaurs is real cool. So we always hit a point in my videos where I ask, what are you reading right now? So what are you actually reading right now during the quarantine?
I got to be honest, I'm not reading very much because like new books, I'm not getting any. But this is kind of something that I really enjoyed. The TV series Orphan Black.
Oh wow,
it's a really good TV series. I don't know if you know Kat Staggs. She does.
Yeah, I know Kat Staggs,
and I love her art, her style in it. So I'm so happy to actually be reading that. It's only like a 6-issue series.
Yeah,
but I thought that was good. And like with the new Batman books and stuff, I can't even get them because as soon as they come out, they jump up to $10, $15, $20 because of the
DC is
the
COVID-19.
Yeah, everybody's jumping on the speculation of Punchline.
Oh,
so I'm like, I can't even get the books.
Yeah, I was the newest thing is Harley Quinn meeting Punchline.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard about that, but I'm waiting until my favorite character is Wolverine. I bought his #1 book. It was like, oh my God, that book was like $11. Like, but I bought it because I'm a Wolverine fan, and it was a little graphic novel.
Is that the one where he's on the cover with the finger?
That might be the the variant. The original version is Adam Kubert, where it's red and he's kind of just like popping his claws. Thank God that they did away with the heat claws because I was like, what are the heat claws? but the Wolverine, I'm waiting until they do like I'm waiting until they put it into a collector's edition or a paperback.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they got away from doing hardcovers, but they do paperbacks now.
I didn't realize they stopped doing those.
Yeah, they don't do hardcovers that much because hardcovers are more expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for the Wolverine paperback, and it's scheduled to come out in September. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it takes you that long to put it in a graphic novel?
So you ever go to Ollie's?
I don't think we have a Ollie's down here. We have a book.
I know they have a little section. Got a ton of the hardcovers and the collected issue ones.
Okay, we have Books A Million and we have BAM Books. I know that's very popular here in Georgia area. Books
Second Charles.
Yeah, definitely Second. Well, I'm a huge fan of Second and Charles, but I haven't been in a while because they don't open early. They open like around 12. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of weird to go in there. So my favorite best friend has been Amazon. I was surprised to find out the owner of Amazon actually grew up like literally around the corner from where I grew up at in Miami.
Really?
So yeah, the CEO, the head over Amazon.
Wait, where are you at?
I'm in Georgia, but I'm originally.
Yeah, I was down in Georgia, gosh, probably about 15 years ago. And one of my friends was going to church, so I went with them.
Okay.
And I met the owner of Chick-fil-A.
Oh my God!
I was like, "Can I get a little free chicken over here? Come on."
I mean, this guy is
it's the best.
This guy is awesome, man. Because he he has his views, which we all do, and I respect it. But one thing I do respect about Chick-fil-A is that I was eating at Chick-fil-A for the first time in my adult life, probably like 2-3 years ago, and they kept asking me, like, "Do you want some more to drink? Is there anything else I can get you?" And I was like, "Why are y'all being so nice?" But I didn't realize that's the culture of Chick-fil-A. They actually bless you before you leave. They're like, have a blessed day. Yeah. I mean, that's very awesome. You know what I'm saying?
It's a Christian place, and they do not open on Sundays, no matter where you go.
They're definitely not a Sunday place because I have a taste. The strongest taste I have for Chick-fil-A is on a Sunday, which is very.
I'm the same way. Like one day I got him, I was like, "Oh, give me some Chick-fil-A today." I go over there. It's like, darn it, it's Sunday.
So you can't get your Chick-fil-A. Yeah,
can't get my Chick-fil-A on. Like, man, that's crazy. One of my day. Now, one other thing I meant to say when we were talking about Ryan Reynolds. The first time I saw him was back when he did Three Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. That was way back in the day.
Wow, that
might have been the first thing he did. I love that show. I can't remember the other guy's name, but the girl that was with him, her name was Traylor Howard.
Uh-huh.
So I love that show.
Yeah, Yeah, that's a teenage Ryan Reynolds actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the thing about seeing people like Ryan Reynolds, and we're gonna segue into Christopher Evans, Captain America. The first time I saw Captain America was in Not Another Teen Movie, and it's weird to see him go from Not Another Teen Movie to Johnny Storm in the first original Fantastic
Yep.
Four, to seeing him play Captain America, which is a role that he's born for.
He is.
Yeah.
I mean, going into that, I'm like, I don't think this is going to work.
Yeah, but
now I'm like, I can't think of anybody else.
Who else can play Cap? It's
Yeah.
just, those roles of Captain America and definitely Wolverine, because I'm a huge Wolverine fan.
I don't know who will take Hugh Jackman's place.
I
don't know.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody. It's just like Batman. Like a lot of people, they kind of like all the other Batmans, but my original Batman is always going to be Michael Keaton.
I'm right there with you.
Michael Keaton was a best Batman, and then if anybody was able to come to the role after Michael Keaton, it would definitely be Christian Bale.
Yep.
So Christian Bale was a good one, but Val Kilmer with the lips, and then what's his name?
George Clooney.
Who?
George Clooney.
George Clooney with who had the bat nipples? Come on, man.
I can't remember which one. In my mind, I'm thinking it was Clooney with the bat nipples.
The bat nipples, but
gosh. And then he's putting on his pants. They zoom in on his butt.
Oh my God! Then you got Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl.
Batgirl.
But the original Alfred would always be the original actor from the first two Batman and Batman Returns. Mm-hmm. And the original Batman will always be Michael Keaton. Mm-hmm. Now, the good thing about Michael Keaton is that Michael Keaton is an overall accomplished actor. I don't think he gets enough credit. I put him up there with Brad Pitt, Denzel Washington, any of your Samuel Jackson, any of your iconic actors. I put Michael Keaton up there with. And the reason why I say that is because I recently sat down and made myself watch the Spider-Man. It wasn't Homecoming, but it was the one before Homecoming.
Yeah.
That dude played the Vulture to the teeth. I mean, Michael Keaton is such a good actor. I sometimes forget how good he is, but I would definitely love to see him reprise the role of the Vulture, because what made me go back and watch that movie was I watched the one with Mysterio in it, which was Homecoming, right? Now, Jake Gyllenhaal made Mysterio such a nice. I really never paid attention to Mysterio. I was like, oh, Mysterio, he's just a regular villain. But Jake Gyllenhaal, and the way they put the drones around him and they modernized Mysterio was so awesome. Like, I really was in love with Homecoming. And my favorite Spider-Man was always Tobey Maguire. But the new actor, I don't know his name, but he's a very good Spider-Man too. So.
Wow. I can't think of the man's name to save my life now. Is it Tom Holland?
The funny is Tom Holland. The funny thing is, I got all those movies at reach, but it's just like I'm not going to leave the camera. Now, as far as what I'm reading right now, I got it right here. This is.
Let me zoom in on you. The world can see.
That's
That's
the IDW Ninja Turtle collection. This is volume 9. So it took me about a year to actually get up to volume 9. You have 10 and 11 that's out right now. And I'm definitely going to get I'll run through those. Like, they're thick, and they're, to me, they're mini omnibuses.
Yeah.
But it only takes me like maybe 2 weeks and a half to read them. Because I don't have the time now. If I had all the time in the world, it would literally take me a week to read them. They're very good. They have a lot of they took everything that we was used to with the Ninja Turtles and the wacky stuff, and they made it very serious, and they made it very adult. And they actually, like, okay, so for instance, the Rat King, when we was growing up, the Rat King was some like wacky character that lived down in the sewers. In those books, Rat King is part of a god family, and he's like the god of like mischief. And I thought that was a very good rendition. They took Leatherhead, who was a Louisiana gator in the swamp, and they turned him into an experiment that Krang had in his laboratory that actually escaped and killed a lot of the Unicrons, which is Crane's race.
Mm-hmm.
So those books are very adult. They took everything that we're used to and they brought it full circle and they made it for adults. So I'm really in love with those books, and maybe I'll try out the what do you call it? The Transformers next, because I know IDW did their own rendition of the Transformers.
Actually, that is something I have been reading, the original Transformers run.
Oh, they're good?
Yeah.
You talking about Marvel or IDW?
Marvel from what, 80?
Oh, back in the day. Oh, yeah.
85 or something?
Yes.
I think. As I remember, them and Ghostbusters come out the same year.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 85. I might be wrong.
Yeah. Those are. I didn't even know that the second Ghostbuster came out when I was like 7. Like I was like, God, dog, I remember going seeing those movies in the theaters. But
one thing I loved about that second movie was Bobby Brown.
Oh my God!
He did the theme song for it.
Yes, we're on our own.
I love that.
Yeah, Bobby Brown. Such a. His reign on top was too short. Problems brought him down, and I wish he would have stayed on top. But yeah, Ghostbusters pretty good, and also too, if you're reading the Transformers, then that also segues into G.I. Joe. Have you saw the Netflix series called The Toys That Made Us?
Yeah, I love that series.
Oh man, I
watched all of them except for the Little Ponies one.
Yeah, the funny thing about the My Ponies is that you have nowadays, and they're not gay. They're not part of the. Right. Some of them are, but you have a lot of they call them bronies.
The bronies.
And I didn't notice that until I went to Dragon Con. Mm-hmm. That you got a large group of men that actually really, really love My Little Pony. And I was thinking maybe, some of them were, just I don't mean to say it like this, but my best friend is actually, gay or whatever. But I asked him and I said, have you ever heard of bronies and stuff like that? He was like, yeah. But he was like, surprisingly, most of them aren't gay. I was like, wow. So, it's yeah, My Little Ponies. I did watch that one because, if I'm a completionist, so if I watch something, I try to watch everything. But yeah, Toys That Made Us was very good. I think my favorite episode was probably the Ninja Turtles. That was probably the better one.
Yeah, I love that. Then the wrestling action figures one also.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah,
you watch Comic Book Man?
Oh my God, that is my show.
Or Brian Johnson. He's a brony.
Brian is
the big dude with the long beard.
With the beard?
Yeah.
Brian with the beard? He's a brony?
There's an episode of that where apparently someone was looking for one of the ponies. And so they decided to go to a My Little Pony convention. And he's going in telling them this character, this character, this character. And they just stop like, how do you know this? He's like, I'm brony.
What? It's like a little secret society. It's a society.
You got like motorcycle guys. You got people from all over, and I'm like,
he looks like
cool.
He looks like a hitman for the mob, or he could be on Sons of Anarchy. He looks like you wouldn't expect him to be a brony, but that's the world we live in. You never know, man. People are, the thing about me is that when I go out in public, people are like, okay, that's a, cool guy, saying, has dreadlocks or whatever. But when I wear my, shirts or whatever, like right now I got on an Ice Cube shirt. You probably can't see it. But if I wear a Deadpool shirt, I will always get a guy that looks out of the corner of his eye and be like, hey, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, and we'll go to start talking. Or, the funny thing is when I go to Walmart and I'm in the Funko Pop section, I always get somebody to be like, oh man, you're the Funko Pops. And then we just get to talking. And his wife is rolling her eyes, and my girl's rolling her eyes, and what I'm saying, they're like, oh my God, they finally found somebody that's just like them. But we're a growing society. But like we was talking about earlier, back in the day, it wasn't as accepted. It wasn't. You would have to literally read a comic book at home in your room. You couldn't like openly be a comic book nerd, but I never cared anyway. So I used to openly be a comic book nerd, but
well, you're 6 foot. I'm 5'6". My butt was easily kicked.
but then too, you got to understand the crowd I'm hanging around. The crowd I'm hanging around, they expected me to just listen to a certain type of music. So if I did listen to Guns N' Roses, and one of my favorite first songs, this is when I knew I was different. When I was younger, one of my favorite songs was by Whitesnake. I forget what's called, but Tony Catan was on the car, gyrating and all that kind of stuff.
Here I Go Again?
On my own. That was one of my favorite songs as a kid. So that's when I knew I was different, because I would listen to that on MTV.
We all had a crush on her.
Yeah. Oh my! I don't care how Tony Catan looks. I don't care if she's beat up. I heard she's pretty rough, because she beat up her boyfriend, who was played for hockey. He was an NHL player. Yes, she got arrested for beating him up. So she's not only pretty, but she's deadly. But I would have a crush on Tony Catan, and also to Sharon Stone for the rest of my life.
Is it just for that one scene in that one movie?
No. Matter of fact, it's not even that. Sharon Stone.
Basic Instinct, but
Basic Instinct. Sharon Stone won me over with just her beauty in Goodfellas. Goodfellas. I'm sorry, Casino.
Yeah.
And then
everybody gets those two movies confused.
Oh yeah, because Martin Scorsese. But she also too was very pretty in Total Recall. Like she's one of that
movie.
Yeah, she's one of the most natural, prettiest women I've ever seen. Have you seen John Wick 3?
I have not seen that yet. I love the first two, and I just haven't seen the third one yet.
Oh my God, I finally sat down and watched the third one. And what I can say is that if you're a fan of Halle Berry, you're going to be more of a fan of her when you see her in John Wick 3. That's all I'm going to say about it. But John Wick 3, yes, Keanu Reeves was in the movie, but Halle Berry steals it.
There's only one thing that I didn't like of hers, and that was Catwoman. And my biggest reason was she cut her hair.
Yeah.
I love that long hair. It's like, oh my gosh, she's gorgeous.
One of Halle Berry's first movies is when I first saw her. It's a movie with. Do you remember Tommy Davidson from Living Color?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for y'all,
the shorter guy on there.
Shorter guy. For the people that don't know Tommy Davidson is in Ace Ventura Part 2. He's a guy who climbed out of the bag and beat up Ace Ventura when he was battling this guy in Africa. That's who Tommy Davidson is.
I completely forgot that scene.
So that's who that's the most it's funny because when I say Tommy Davidson, people are always like, who? And I'm like, okay, the guy from Ace Ventura who beat up Ace Ventura in Africa. Oh, that guy. He had a movie back in the day called Strictly Business, and that was when Halle Berry was hungry and she was first being an actress. And that movie, they displayed her with short hair, and she was in her full glory of just being beautiful. She's still a beautiful woman. She still hasn't aged a bit.
She really has not.
But in Strictly Business, she was. That's when she was in her zenith of glory. Another movie is Boomerang with Eddie Murphy.
Yep.
They made her second to I forget her name, Robin Givens. How can you make Halle Berry second to Robin Givens? I don't know, but that movie did. But Halle Berry was beautiful in that movie.
Well, I know Robin was kind of big at that time, but she was in that one TV show.
Was it 21 Jump Street?
Was she on that? No, that was it Holly Robbins, McPeak? Holly Robbins?
Yeah, because 21 Jump Street was God,
Johnny Depp was on
Johnny Depp. But Robin Givens was big because she was dating. She married Mike Tyson at the time, and she also dated Brad Pitt at the time.
I didn't know.
Yeah, so she dated Brad Pitt when Brad Pitt was.
We need to make a list of people that Brad Pitt dated because it's a good list.
Yeah, that was a short-lived relationship with Brad Pitt. And the crazy thing was she was on top then, but Brad Pitt blew up. Brad Pitt blew up with women in Thelma and Louise because I remember a lot of women being like, "Who's that cowboy?" and blah blah blah. But Brad Pitt won me over with A River That Runs Through It, and also to one of my favorite movies, which is Interview with the Vampire.
Like, yeah, him with Tom Cruise, right?
Tom Cruise and what's the Spanish guy name?
Was it Banderas?
Banderas, Antonio Banderas. Yeah. Antonio Banderas is funny because he always plays the good homophobic boyfriend. I mean, not homophobic, but the good homosexual boyfriend. Like I was watching Philadelphia. With
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
Washington.
God, you're my brain right now. I was
usually I'm the one like.
I was watching Philadelphia, and when they bought out Antonio Banderas, I was like, wow. I was like, and when you actually hear the backstory of an Interview with the Vampire, the actual writer actually says that it's almost like the vampires would have. They weren't homosexual, but they would have a partner, a male partner, and it kind of mimics that. Now, speaking of that, I guess we're giving, a lot of good shout outs to the LGBT community. Did you know that in the movie Hooked, when the guy from Roger Rabbit who plays Smee and actual Dustin Hoffman,
I can't think of that movie right off.
Okay, you remember Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Remember Eddie Valiant?
Yeah.
Okay, he plays Smee.
Okay.
But it's hard to really, you would have to know that because the makeup is so heavy. And Dustin Hoffman plays Hook. But Dustin Hoffman and him, they said how they prepare for the roles as if they were a couple. So when you actually see Smee and you actually see Hook, you can actually like I can't unsee it now that I know it, but they're almost like a couple in that movie, which makes a brotherhood even better in Hook. So I like the movie Hook. It actually, like I was telling you, if you haven't seen Return to Oz, Hook is almost like Return to Oz. It took your fairy tale that you're used to, and it gave it a second go.
Wow.
So we can talk about movies all day.
Brad Pitt. Where do I first remember him from? It was a TV show. Was it Full House? Was he on an episode of Full House? Play like what the hot guy that one of the girls was dating, or was it? Gosh, it was one of those movies back then. He played the love interest for like 2 episodes or something on.
I don't know why I have Charles in Charge on my brain.
Not Charles.
It might not have been Charles in Charge.
But I remember Nicole Eggert from that show when she grew up, and she started doing a few movies with the two gosh, what are their names? Wow, why am I blanking those 2 guys' names? They had the same first name. The 2 Coreys.
Corey Feldman and Corey
Haim. Yeah, she was in a couple movies with those guys for a while.
So your favorite? So before we get off of Brad Pitt, what's your favorite Brad Pitt movie? Because he has a lot of them. That's my favorite.
He does have a lot of movies. And now you say that, I'm going to completely blank on every single one of them. Mr. and Ms. Smith. I really like that movie.
Oh yeah, that's where he finally met Angelina Jolie.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite Brad Pitt movie probably would be Troy. He went to a whole nother level. Playing Achilles and the fighting scenes in there. He really trained hard, and he really was that person in that movie. So
going into that movie, every Friday night, I trained mixed martial arts at the time. So every Friday night after training, we'd go see a movie, and we were all tired. Like when we first saw Lord of the Rings, it was after that. And that's like a 3-hour movie.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I told somebody, like, I fell asleep. I woke up and that kid was still crying.
Still crying. Oh my God!
He's like, he's putting the ring on again. But seeing Troy, I was just like, how many times do I have to see Brad Pitt's naked butt?
Oh my God! Yeah, but they did that. They did that in Orlando Bloom. They did that strictly to keep the female that you would involved in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, Troy.
One of my friends is like, if they show his butt one more time, I'm getting
my other favorite Brad Pitt movie would be Fight Club. Definitely Fight Club. So
yeah.
And surprisingly, they have a comic book of it, which I never read. But I heard it's pretty good, though.
I've not read that. I remember when it come out. Gosh, it's been about 7-8 years ago, something like that. Yeah. It's been a long time.
Yeah, matter of fact, they're doing Fight Club 2. They probably done that like 2 years ago. So
I do not remember that.
Yeah, they did not the movie, the comic book.
The comic.
The comic book. I think the comic book is under Image, and I think they actually came out like 2 years ago. So So yeah, Brad Pitt.
I have done learned again.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I saw him in the dollar bins. But where I want to start with earliest as possible before I just jump into something. You know?
Yeah, I like to. If I'm gonna read something, I want to start at the beginning.
Yeah,
and kind of go from there. And I will say I've gone to some. There are some websites where you can just look up just about any book you want and read it for free. So I do like doing that. like the X-Men books, old X-Men. I love reading those too. It sucks being a DC guy giving Marvel props.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really tell you the truth, I've learned in life, people used to always be like, growing up black, people always be like Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, Biggie or Tupac. But I've learned the most powerful response is, why do I have to choose?
Yep.
I can like both of them, you know? So Marvel is more modernized. DC is more of your gods, you know. If you took anybody in the DC universe and dropped them in the Marvel universe, most of the time they're going to be overpowered. You know what I'm saying? Like if you take Superman and you put him in the Marvel universe, it's not that many people that's going to handle Superman unless if you go cosmic or you talk about maybe World Breaker Hulk or something like that. But you know, that's the thing. That's the beautiful thing about Marvel is they're more realistic based, reality based, whereas DC is more like God based. You know, I definitely want to get into the Green Lantern lore a little more. I think the Green Lantern and Jeff Johns' run on the Green Lantern has actually took an old concept and expanded it. Because before Jeff Johns, you really didn't have like the indigo, the blue, you know, the yellow. You know, he took that one green concept and he expanded it and just made it such a beautiful read. So if you're not a Green Lantern fan, I would say that now is, well, a couple years ago, but that was the time to really get into Green Lantern because that's some of the better stories.
I would say if you go back a little further, during the Daryl Banks.
Okay.
He did artwork for it back in when I think Kyle Reiner when he first came.
Oh yeah, that was like 98, 2000,
late 80s.
Yeah, late 80s. Yeah, Kyle Reiner he came along after Parallax. But that's one of my favorite characters. That's one of my favorite covers is when he actually.
Let me see if I got one of those prints. I thought I did. Yeah, I'm a doofus. When I go to cons, I always get prints.
Oh, yeah. It's nice.
I love these things.
Nice.
Let's see. Here we go. There we go.
That's it. That's one of my favorite comic book covers.
I love this.
All time.
I jokingly tell people this is the this is where Booker T got it from. 5 times.
That's Emerald Twilight. Emerald Twilight. That was such a grail for me because I couldn't find it anywhere. And then I ended up going to Second and Charles. I found it for like $5, and then I found it 2 more times for like $2. Emerald Twilight is one of the better stories, but they were trying to. You gotta understand, this is a time where they're trying to get people back into comics.
Yep.
So everything they did wouldn't work, but they, you know, hey, here we are now. We're wearing T-shirts, we're in the movies and stuff like that. Now, as far as movies, I think DC has animation hands down.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel can't touch that animation.
Well, I will say, and I hate saying this so much, Spider-Man Into the Multiverse, great animated movie.
Oh yeah, it is.
But after that, there's a huge drop for their next movie in animation.
Yeah, Marvel animation is not on point, but they make up in as far as movies. DC is lacking in their live action movies. I watched Wonder Woman. That was pretty good.
I liked Wonder Woman.
Batman versus Superman to me was good up until the point where you had the Martha point. But I think people are a little hard on DC with their movies.
That line to this day, I'm like, Martha, what?
Like, really?
Because coming out of it, I'm like, did they have the same mom? What's going on here?
I didn't even realize both their moms were named the same name either.
I never even thought about it. It's like some of those things I know, but I never thought about it.
Yeah, it was like weird, but I like Man of Steel. I didn't like Bryan Singer's Superman Returns. The thing about Bryan Singer is people like praise him because he did the first X-Men, but I don't think Bryan Singer is such a good director. I think it's kind of weird and he over explains, and I don't know, he just doesn't do your movies justice.
One of my best friends, he every time he finds out that Singer did a movie, he's like, we're about to get Singered again, aren't we?
Yeah, for real, because Bryan Singer movies are, first of all, how you going to introduce Superman? You're saying Superman Returns, but he already has a son, and like, you got Kevin Spacey, one of the best actors of all time, who can definitely kill the role of Lex Luthor, and his role was like so on Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
But I like Man of Steel. I thought Man of Steel is it Mark Hamill? I think Mark Hamill is a pretty good Superman. So,
Really?
but yeah, what's your is his name Mark Hamill?
Yeah, Mark Hamill is Luke Skywalker.
Oh, oh my God!
Maybe in an animated series.
I cannot do that. Oh my God! I'm such a
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill. Okay. Yeah. Oh my God! I just threw the first name out. Oh my God!
Now,
Mark
Hamill. What's Mark Hamill's best role?
I think the comic book community would kill me if I didn't say the Joker. I mean, he did Luke Skywalker.
Gosh, I love that Joker too.
He did Luke Skywalker very good. I mean, there's only one Luke, but when it comes to Joker, people always say Heath Ledger took what Jack Nicholson did and capitalized on it. But but when you talk to the true nitty gritty fans, they always, because we're very sarcastic, they always say the best Joker was Mark Hamill. Period.
Yeah.
Like,
I love his voice. I love that laugh. Oh my gosh! I remember I found out about that. It wasn't more than 6-7 years ago. I was like, "What?
Yeah,
did you say Mark Hamill? That's not him."
Yeah, I actually found that out because we see the kids will never know that we didn't grow up in the age of digital information.
Yep.
Our information was you had an encyclopedia. You had to go and look it up in the encyclopedia or whatever. But I found out Mark Hamill did it a little bit after the anime series came out. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I can't believe that Luke Skywalker actually played Joker. And I was happy for him because, it's been hard for him to really find work outside of Star Wars. Who really capitalized off of Star Wars besides what's his name? Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford was the only one out of that movie that really was able to go on and do bigger and better things besides Billy D. Williams. But Billy D. Williams was made way before.
Don't make me go over there and get my stand-up. I got a Billy D. Williams. My brother owns a convenience store. We've owned one for almost 20 years now.
Okay.
And they had the Colt 45 Billy D. stand-up.
Oh, man.
I was like, can I have that?
Yes, sir.
You really want this? Like, yes, I want that.
Yeah, it's a collector.
Lando, come on. Of course I want Lando.
It's a collector's item.
I think it actually, you remember the old commercials?
Colt 45. Yes,
Get
sir.
them every time.
Yes, he was smooth.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. I love that movie.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
what was
but Mark Hamill, another movie he did that a lot of people probably have never seen It's called Sushi Girl.
No, I've never seen that.
It's a really good kind of gosh, I don't know what to call it. It's not really. It's got a little action in it. It's got a little drama in it, but it's really a weird kind of a movie.
Okay.
But I guess the reason they call it a Sushi Girl is because all these guys meet in this room. It's in an Oriental restaurant.
Okay.
And they eat sushi off a naked woman.
Oh.
So there you go. It's the Sushi Girl.
I'm trying to figure out where I saw that at.
It's not for the children.
When they ate sushi off a girl. I've seen that in a couple movies before.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to figure out what movie that was. Yeah, Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill. He's an icon. He's an icon in our community. The only, Dragon Con has special guests, and if they ever invited him out to Dragon Con, I definitely would get his autograph. You got his autograph?
No, I don't have his autograph, but there you go.
That's a variant from Marvel, correct?
Yeah, issue 1 from the Marvel. I'm not sure which Marvel run it was.
Oh yeah.
Then
this is the first one.
Then I got that one right there.
Oh yeah.
Our princess. I miss her. I wish I could have gotten an autograph from her at some point.
Leia. Dark Horse has a pretty good expanded universe of the Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Some of Dark Horse covers cannot be touched or cannot be duplicated.
Mm-hmm.
Dark Horse did a pretty good job when they had Star Wars.
Yeah, they got a ton of mini runs that they come out with.
Oh man, especially if you're a Darth Maul fan, they had a 4-part miniseries, and they end up putting it into a paperback. But the actor who played him, we don't know his name, but I actually got a chance to meet him at Dragon Con. I forgot to get his autograph, but he was a pretty cool guy. He actually knows.
He was also Rorschach in Watchmen.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure it's the same guy.
Without the mask or with the mask?
With the mask. I think he wore the mask and didn't also without the mask.
I think no, that's a different actor because he went on to play Freddy Krueger in the New Nightmare on Elm Street. Mm-hmm. The guy who plays Darth Maul. The guy who actually plays DarthUl in the movies is Toad from X-Men.
Yes, that's it. That is it.
That's
one of the worst lines in comic book movie history. What happens to a toad when he gets struck by lightning?
Everything else.
I'm like, because when you first said that, I'm like, is this some kind of a Riddler riddle from the 1960s?
Yes, that was such a horrible one. Like so when Halle Berry first played Storm, I was like, okay, Hollywood just picked the first African American girl that they could get. So, I was a little disappointed. When she won me over, probably was X-Men Last Stand, when she finally cut her hair into the short Storm one. I really liked that one, and then she really, really won me over in X-Men Days of the Future Past. She had a small role in it, but she reprised her role because she knew how important Storm was. But I've always been salivating at the mouth that they would actually get a taller, sleeker, darker Storm. Like I really would like that representation of her. But I think Halle Berry did a very good job. She was one of the main actresses that can bring that character to America and be like, hey, this is a cool character because look, Halle Berry's playing her.
Yep.
So it's funny how I didn't like her at first. I definitely didn't like Hugh Jackman at first. He was too small. The wig was bad. Blah 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 blah. But by a second movie, he won me over when they had him do his Berserker Rage.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is my Wolverine. So over the years, he's taken that role a little bit more serious, and he's awesome as Wolverine.
I had heard, now how true this is, you never know, but I'd heard it. They said if Marvel did a X-Men movie, he was open to maybe making that comeback.
Yeah, he's always been able to reprise his role.
I mean, I know after the last one, he's like, yeah, I'm done. That's it. I'm hanging my claws up. After that, he's like, wait a minute, if y'all do something, if we can slip the X-Men maybe into like Endgame or something.
Oh, yes.
He was like, yeah, don't count me out of that.
we're big wrestling fans. How many wrestlers have said they'll never come back and then they come back? Like Edge. Edge said he retired. He said he doesn't miss the ring at all. But now look, him and his wife are back. Him and Beth Phoenix are back. So.
I love me some Beth Phoenix.
Oh yeah, Beth Phoenix is
the
always.
Glamazon.
Oh,
the Glamazon.
Oh, the Glamazon. Yeah, I saw something where somebody said something to her. I think it was Melina.
Mm-hmm.
Melina had a time where she had got real big headed, and Melina said something to her that she didn't like, and they showed Beth Phoenix go in that ring and beat her to a pulp on purpose. Another person. Have you seen the newer Andre the Giant ESPN special that they came out with a while ago? Oh my God! I grab it. It's right here. Let me grab the cover so you can see it.
Amazon.
Okay, so ESPN did a nightly special, like behind the
the 30 for 30 specials.
Yeah, this is it. This is the Andre the Giant
one. Oh no, didn't that come on HBO first?
I think it came. Let's see.
Because I remember seeing, I think that might have been that HBO one first.
It should be on there, but
it was great.
Yeah, HBO Sports. That's you're right.
Yeah.
So I watched it and it was pretty good, but I love behind the scenes stories or whatever.
Yeah.
And they said that Andre would go in the ring and just manhandle some people. And one of the favorite stories I like was Iron Sheik. Hulk Hogan said Iron Sheik came in the wrestling in the locker room and he was like, "Hey, Andre, do you think I maybe can slam you tonight?" He said, Andre, they showed it on the DVD too. Andre went out there and proceeded to beat the holy crap out of Iron Sheik. Stepped on him, slapped him in the chest. Another story I like was one of my favorite wrestlers is Macho Man Randy Savage. And he said, Hulk Hogan said that Randy Savage came in there, baby oil all over him. It was like, "Hey, brother, you think you could tell me about the finish, what we're going to do tonight?" The finish for any non-wrestling fans is basically how the match is going to end. A lot of wrestlers, you say it's fake. We call it choreographed. They call the matches in the ring.
Yeah.
And what you do when you wrestle a veteran like Andre the Giant, you do not call the match. You let Andre the Giant tell you what we're going to do in the ring. You don't say what you're going to do to Andre the Giant. He's a legend. You know what I'm saying? And legitimately, he can beat you down in the ring. And, it's entertainment for the fans, but it's hell for the person that has to fight him. So, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So Macho Man came in the dressing room and he was like, "Hey, brother, what's going to be the finish for tonight?" And Andre was playing cards and drinking his drinks like he likes to do. He was like, "No, baby."
A couple of cases of beer and just chug them down.
This man would start off his day with a case, not a beer, but wine, a case of wine. So this man drinking is legendary. But so Macho Man asked him, what the finish is going to be, and Andre told him, "No baby oil, get out." And when he went to the ring with Macho Man, they actually showed the match where he would stand on his hair, pull his hair. He got Macho Man in the corner, and he said, Miss Elizabeth, this is for you." Whack! Slapped him across the chest real hard. So I really, really love watching that DVD. I've had it for a year, but I probably watched it twice because I don't like to play it out. But that's one of my favorite parts about seeing who Andre likes and who he doesn't like. Because Andre the Giant was such a big, iconic character that we call it, the wrestling business call it selling. When you actually act like somebody's hurting you, you're selling it. But Andre, if he wanted to, he was so big that he didn't have to sell anything. He didn't have to do anything. He could beat you up, you know what I'm saying, with no problem. So
one of my favorite parts of that was when he had his feud with John Studd.
Big John Studd, yes.
Yeah. He goes, John Studd over the top rope, and Andre's like, "That is mine."
That's
and
his.
He beat the holy hell out of him.
Yeah.
And Studd was a big man.
Big. People don't understand this man is like 6'7",
Mhm.
like huge.
Yeah.
But Vince was telling the story that you're talking about, and he said that when Andre got done with the match with him, John Studd got out of the ring and ran through the back, grabbed his bags, and Vince was like, "Where are you going?" He was like, "I gotta leave. He's gonna kill me." He thought the match wasn't over. He thought that after the match, Andre was gonna come to the dressing room and continue to beat on him because he was such a big iconic character.
Mhm.
Another person that I like to hear how he manhandled was the late Jim Hellwig, which is the Ultimate Warrior.
The Warrior, yeah.
Bobby Heenan told a story about how Andre told Warrior, he said, "Look, when we do the match, you hit me with a clothesline, I'll wrap myself up in the ropes, and that's how we'll do it." But he said Ultimate Warrior rushed everything, that as soon as he hit Andre, he didn't even give him a chance to wrap himself up in the rope. So they did that for 2 nights, and Bobby Heenan said he heard, we call Andre the Giant boss because he's a legitimate boss of the ring. So he said when the first 2 nights, he could hear Andre say, he's like, uh-oh, something's wrong. So he said the third night, Ultimate Warrior came 10,000 miles an hour, and all Andre did was do this. Stuck out his hand. He said the Ultimate Warrior ran into his fist, cracked his paint, almost fainted in the ring. And he said from that point on, when Ultimate Warrior and him did that spot in the match, all you saw was ta-ting, ta-ting, ta-ting. It took his time. But Andre, people don't understand. Andre was so big. Like, you cannot, how can you fake? It's like The Undertaker. If The Undertaker doesn't want you to beat him up, you can't. They're so big and they're so deadly.
That is great.
Did you see when Braun Strowman was rushing with the legitimate fighter?
Lesnar, yeah.
Did you see when Lesnar straightened him out?
Uh-huh.
Lesnar, Strowman kneed him, and you could see Brock like go, oh! And then you just saw Brock when he got up, boom, boom. He said, slow down. And then from that point on, Braun Strowman, ta-tink, ta-tink, ta-tink.
Yeah, they're not going to get in the ring anymore together.
You know what I said? Like, Brock Lesnar is not the dude that you want to piss off. I remember when he came back and John Cena confronted him, and John Cena forgot this guy came straight off of UFC. So John Cena walked up to him politely, slapped the holy hell out of Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, you can see it in his eyes. He legitimately went crazy for a second, and he mounted Cena and hit him with a barrage of elbows and split Cena's lip like from here to here. So
he also put a big gash on his head too.
Yeah, man. When people say
he also did that to Randy Orton.
I didn't see the Randy Orton one. Oh, but that was Corey. That was supposed to happen.
Well, this is the background story of that one.
Jericho?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Go tell Jericho.
It was Jericho. He had no idea that was supposed to happen, and Orton had a huge gash on his head, and he come out and was getting up in Lesnar's face about it and wanted to really fight.
Chris Jericho, people don't understand, is every bit of just 6 feet. Barely 6 feet tall. And Chris Jericho has the balls to step up to a guy that just came off of a powerful UFC win, had just tried out for the Vikings. Brock Lesnar is a legitimate fighter. Chris Jericho doesn't care. And you know what? You know why I respect Chris Jericho?
Because the reasons.
Because of back in the day in WCW, Goldberg, who's a legitimate athlete who actually played for the Atlanta Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
He thought Jericho was just a short piece of crap that he could just, hey, I just don't feel like. They said Chris Jericho jumped on him in the back dressing room and actually had him in the headlock to where Goldberg was actually tapping out saying, get this guy off of me. Chris Jericho, who is barely 6 feet.
That one I did not know about. That is great.
Yeah, he put him in the headlock and had Goldberg crying. Another story that I like behind the scenes was Dave Bautista, who you guys know as
Drax,
the Destroyer from Guardians of the Galaxy. Big old dude. He started winning the heavyweight championship, and he's with Triple H and Evolution, and he gets ahead of himself. He thinks he's legitimately better than everybody else. Where Booker T, who's a veteran, 5-time champion in WCW, is he's getting annoyed with Batista antics. So Batista's like, I'm Batista, and I'm the best that ever touched the WWE because I'm getting trained by Ric Flair and Triple H. And Booker T said, you need to chill out. So Batista didn't pay no attention to him. So guess what Booker T did? Found a nice side dressing room, invited Batista in there, and put him in his place. They said that basically Booker T put respect back into Batista, which is some of the stuff that you don't know about the backstage and wrestling. There's pecking order. They even have wrestlers court.
Yep.
I
think they actually had to quit doing that because of PC nowadays. You can't.
Now you can't do it.
But yeah.
But Undertaker used to be the judge for years, and when Undertaker would find you as a judge, you had to either buy him a whole bunch of Jack Daniels or it was different payments. I remember Miz, when he first got in the ring, Chris Benoit took him to wrestlers court. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing was about Miz's story was Miz was eating chicken, and he the flakes from the chicken got inside Benoit's duffel bag. So Benoit's like, dude, what are you doing? And his punishment was he couldn't dress in the locker room with everybody else. So sometimes as fans would be coming into the arena and they would go to the bathroom, here is Miz, WWE superstar, getting dressed in the bathroom. He couldn't get dressed with the wrestlers.
Yeah, I remember hearing that story, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Miz. I've been a huge fan for a long time. But man, that story cracked me up.
That's funny. I think Miz is one of the better characters that came along, but I think that Miz, even though he's very talented and he's been the world champion and he's actually at the apex of his career, I don't think he even tapped his full potential. Miz, to me, when I see Miz, he's the next. He has the same ability as almost like Hot Rod, Roddy Piper. Mm-hmm. If Miz wanted to, he can get people so upset in that arena that they can riot. But he's learning. And
the one thing I think that killed that ability is the Miz and Mrs. TV show.
Yes.
Because everybody's now, this is a really good dude. How can I boot him?
Yeah. And there too, to see him marry Maurice, because I've always had a lot of respect for Maurice. Like when she first burst on the scene, I thought that she was the overall package, not just because she was beautiful, but I saw something in her. So to find out that he married Maurice, that my respect for Miz went up a whole nother level.
My jealousy for Miz went up a whole nother level.
Oh yeah. And if you guys don't know who Maurice is, just look her up.
Yeah.
Top notch.
You see the Miz in some of the Marine movies.
Yes.
I think he did 3 or 4 of them.
3 or 4 of them. He did.
And there's a game show coming out soon that he's the host of.
Yeah. Ted DiBiase did the second one, and Maria took it from there.
Yeah, Cena did the first one.
Yeah, of course, that's a classic. So
sadly, no one saw him.
Yeah, no. Well, you can't see. So as far as we know the old school wrestlers, but people always ask me, because I'm a part of a huge wrestling group on Facebook.
Nice.
And I'm well respected in there. People call me an old time promoter or a wrestling purist in that group, but they always look to me to say who's your next, who's the next one that you like. So who's your newest wrestler, male and female, that you actually see potential?
Well, I'll tell you that the female for me, well, the first one is not what you call new, but that is Alexa Bliss. I absolutely love Alexa.
I mean, she had the Harley Quinn thing for a while, so who doesn't?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it had something to do with it. But the second one, and she is just now starting to get a push, is Sonya Deville. I think this woman, she was a former mixed martial artist.
Yes, it's Sonya Deville. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
And her and Mandy Rose used to be together all the time.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
And I think, I remember when she first came, I'm like, why are they not giving this lady anything?
Well, you gotta understand, she came in the time of she had to compete with real estate with people like the Queen.
Overrated.
She had to deal with the Queen. She had to deal with the Man. She had to deal with Sasha Banks. So
she also had to deal with not being a blonde.
That too. She's a very cool talent. Mine would be Aleister Black.
I love me some Aleister Black.
People don't understand that Aleister Black father is a true not satanic cult, but he's a true cult leader. So he is involved in that. Yeah, well, he's involved in Satanism. I'm sorry.
Who? Aleister Black himself?
Aleister Black's father.
Oh, okay, I thought you meant like the man himself. I was like,
Oh no, his but
you know his wife. You know who his wife is?
Whose wife?
Aleister Black. You don't know his wife? Selena Vega.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. They've been married for a while. I don't know if you ever watch here on YouTube. They have Sheamus has his Celtic workouts.
Oh yeah.
They have an episode together. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see. That's a small world. I just knew about his father because he was Tommy End and like CZW. His name was Tommy End, and he wrestled against what's the new WWE champion?
Drew McIntyre.
Drew McIntyre. Him and Drew McIntyre wrestled on the Indies, so I watch a lot of Indies.
I did not know.
So yeah, that's when Aleister Black was Tommy End. Another one of my favorite ones is Bianca Belair.
I love her. I mean, that hair, she beats people with her hair. Oh, that looks so painful.
And the reason why I like
of NXT.
The reason why I like Bianca Belair because she reminds me a lot of China. If anybody can go for the men's title, I would think it could be. Now, see, the thing about Bianca Belair is you got the Queen of Spades, but she's more manly. You know what I'm saying? But when you look at Bianca Belair, she has the best of both worlds. She's still a woman, but she's very strong as far as an athlete. So she's feminine, but you can tell that she can get in there with the men and mix it up.
Do you have the WWE Network?
I have yet to subscribe to it. And that's my fault because I fall a lot on my old school DVDs. I built that collection up to where it's like stupid huge, but now it's time for me to get the network because I'm such a I could tell I would watch new stuff, but all my time would go into the old school stuff. Like I'm a wrestling historian. Like I love, like this is going off the script unless if you're a real wrestling fan. I like people like the first WWE champion, which was Nature Boy Buddy Rogers. I like Luthez. There goes Wahoo McDaniels. People. Dusty Rhodes is old school, but he's still modernized. I definitely love. So that I'm a wrestling historian.
Well, my story, what I was leading to with that was, I don't know if they do it every year, but I think they actually do it every year. But this year they filmed it. They have like a like the NFL, like the rookie camp, where they bring all the rookies together and they do all the like the testing and stuff.
Okay.
But they do that with the NXT people coming up. And Bianca, she just destroys everyone in it.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane how strong that woman is. It blows my mind.
She's very strong. And the thing about NXT is funny to me because back in the day, people would be like, who's your favorite wrestler? In 2000, 1998. In 1998 on to 2000, 2008, people would ask me who's my favorite wrestler. Because, over time, your favorite wrestlers kind of change and you like other wrestlers.
Yep.
But back then, when I got back into wrestling, mine was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, which I got beat across the head a lot because Stone Cold was the guy then, The Rock was the guy, or, you went with Undertaker. But to like Triple H, people would be like, why? And I was like, why not? He's the greatest heel, of this generation. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Like he was such a heel that people would take that persona and think that was actually him. They would actually think like Triple H was this money hungry, power hungry person.
The British blue blood.
So thank God I wasn't a fan of him then, but I became a fan of him right at the turn of the new millennium when he became the Game.
I will say I became a fan of the Miz before pretty much any people are like, get this guy out of there. I was like, dude, he's got charisma. He's got good ability, except for that one time when he was supposed to catch R-Truth and totally
botched it. That's the term where you botched is when you mess up. But see,
R-Truth was almost died right there when he did that. I was like, wow.
We've been watching Miz since the Real World. Like we're kids.
Was back in New York?
I forget which one he was on, but I remember he was acting like he was in the WWE on that.
He had a cardboard belt and everything.
Yeah, people don't understand. Like the Real World was such a good show. But the reason why I brought up Triple H is because NXT is a brainchild of Triple H.
Yeah.
Now when people are like, "Oh, who's your favorite wrestler?" I'm like Triple H, and they're like, "How can you like Triple H?" I'm like, look no further than NXT. That's his brainchild. That's all him. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for Triple H and his ability to always be on top of things and think ahead of the curve, you wouldn't have the next generation of wrestlers, because what other territory? There's no other territories. You got a crop of Impact people that came through Impact, TNA, that's in the WWE now, but they've really kind of done their whole career Impact. So when they come to the WWE, it's almost like you can use them for 2 years and then they're on the shelf. Like look at Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's best years were in Ring of Honor and in NXT.
Yeah, ROH, they had a ton of great people come through there.
Kevin Owens.
Yeah, Tyler Black. Why can't I think of his Seth Rollins? Tyler Black was his name back then.
Which is my, now when they ask who's my favorite wrestler, I always say, this was my old school, this was my modern. But now one of my favorite wrestlers back when it was FCW.
Yep.
I used to stay at 3 o'clock in the morning and watch FCW, and Tyler Black was on there. And I really became a fan of Seth Rollins way ahead of time before he joined the Shield. And
see, I don't remember. You know what? I'm thinking before FCW. I'm thinking when they had the territory. Was it in Memphis?
OPW.
No. Ohio Valley Wrestling. I think it was.
Yeah, that's when Cena was.
Cena, Brock, Batista, Shelton Benjamin.
Yep, Charlie Haas.
I would say Benjamin is by far the most underrated guy.
Who?
Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah, Shelton Benjamin.
When he first come up as the gold standard, I mean, what happened? Gosh.
The thing about Shelton Benjamin is Shelton Benjamin made a way for Kofi Kingston. Yeah. Because Shelton Benjamin used to do something. Shelton Benjamin used to do something every pay-per-view. And now you see Kofi Kingston took that and he does something every pay-per-view, especially when it comes to the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, Royal Rumble, yeah.
Gosh, when it comes to the Royal Rumble, he always does something. But I remember Shelton Benjamin seeing him in the Money in the Bank matches. I was like, he got to win the Money in the Bank. Because this guy actually took a ladder and ran up it and did a swanton dive over the ladder. I'm like, how do you do that? Like Spider-Man. So
I think the thing that might have hurt him, in my mind, I'm thinking he was going against Shawn Michaels. I might be wrong about that. But he was on Shawn Michaels was on one side of the ring, inside the ring. Sheldon was just outside the ring. He grabbed that top rope, jumped up on the top rope, and slingshotted himself. And he did a drop kick from that slingshot across the ring and about decapitated. And I'm pretty sure it was Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels,
he got decapitated.
That's what killed. What's his name? Push. Was that Kofi Kingston? Was when he ran up against Andy Orton.
Andy Orton,
I think he didn't do something, and Randy Orton was seen in the ring saying "stupid, stupid, stupid."
Yeah.
So that killed his push for what, 7 years?
Mm-hmm.
So
I would say the New Day. I am such a mark for the New Day.
At first, I didn't understand it. At first, I was like, "What is this? What are they doing to them? Like Big E, what? Why are they coming out here?" And they're one of the most over 3-man crew since freaking the Freebirds.
Yeah,
they're one of the most over 3-man crew. Period.
I mean, they come out throwing pancakes.
And the crazy thing about Elijah Wood is that he went to high school literally 3 blocks up from where I stay at right now.
And by the way, Xavier Woods has the best, maybe one of the best YouTube channels.
Okay, I never even see
up, down, down.
I gotta start expanding.
He got the video game podcast.
Okay, I know he's a pretty big gamer.
Oh yeah, so, huge.
Right now he's hurt, so hopefully he makes a recovery and comes back.
I don't know if you noticed this. Do you still watch the pay-per-views that are going on?
Yeah, I watch pay-per-views. Yeah.
Okay, well, if you not watch the New Day's ring gear, after Xavier got hurt, they had all white gear, but they had designs on them. They had paint by numbers on it, and the thing that they said was, as Xavier gets better, they're going to slowly be painting the outfit. So the closer that gets to being completely finished, that's how you know how close it is for him to get back.
That's cool. I've only noticed about the armbands and that stuff. The cool thing, I think one of the most mark out moments when people don't like wrestling, one of the best things I can ever show them is when they came out WrestleMania out of the big cereal box, and they had on the Bootios, and they had on the Dragon Ball Z gear. That was pretty cool when they had on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, and that's when they were having that tag team match, and they were like, "We're going to add another team," and then the Hardy Boys music started playing.
Oh yeah, the Hardy Boys came back.
Everybody was like, "Oh, they're gonna have the New Day in it! Yay!" It's like then the Hardy Boys, the place went insane.
The crazy thing is that the WWE didn't capitalize on the broken Matt Hardy, but AEW is though. They had a skit where Matt the Young Bucks drove up to the ranch in
the Hardy
Carolina, and you can see Matt Hardy. He's talking about the Bucks of Youth. I marked out, and in our industry, in the wrestling industry, when you say mark out, that means you went absolutely crazy. Or in my universe, it's called when you go 8 nuts and giggle like a dolphin.
Did you see the one where he was talking to Chris Jericho?
I didn't see it now.
He's like, "You are the whole of an ass."
Matt Hardy is
about trying to laugh so hard.
People used to always say back in the day, even Michael Hayes used to say that people give Jeff Hardy so much credit, but they have no idea how talented Matt is. Now, I saw Matt's talent. I saw Matt's talent when he did Matt Hardy version 1. But when he actually when he implemented the true life story of Edge stealing his girlfriend, and they went at it, I was like, this dude is all about business. Because
it was Lita was his girlfriend, by the way. For those
Adam Copeland Edge actually ended up stealing her from Matt Hardy, and you can't steal anybody who doesn't want to be kept.
Yeah,
they actually end up being together.
But basically, what happened was Matt had an injury, so he was out, and they kind of became a couple while he was out.
Yeah. Edge and Lita both had neck issues. They liked the same type of music. They started riding together. And as they started riding together, they started realizing how much similarities they have. But look at how the world ended up being now. Matt has his wife. Edge has his wife, and unfortunately, Lita doesn't have anybody. And that's the karma that comes back. But what I was saying was Matt Hardy and Edge showed maturity that you were able to actually be in a wrestling match with somebody who actually took your girlfriend from you, and you don't take liberties of beating him up for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know had it been me, I would have been bionic elbow and all kind of stuff to him.
You know? A couple of accidental knees to the bone.
It's just like when they talk about Ric Flair and Eric Bischoff, when Eric Bischoff was such a butt to Ric Flair, he tried to end Ric Flair's career. They had a match after that when Ric Flair came back after suing WCW. WCW was suing him. Eric Bischoff was saying in real life how he was going to put Ric Flair out of business and take all his money. And after all this, they came together, and Ric Flair came back, and they actually had a match. The wrestlers were betting in the background to see if somebody was going to accidentally, oops, I broke his nose, or oops, I split his lip. But, they're so professional that they kept it professional. Nobody actually got hurt. So
Now, for those who don't know, if you do take a liberty, you get what is called a receipt. Eventually, the other person is going to give you what you gave them or worse.
Yes.
And you basically have to say, I earned it.
Yeah. And also too in the ring, when you beat somebody up pretty bad or you take liberties with them, it's called you potato them. You actually beat them like potatoes. So I love listening to Sergeant Slaughter talk about how Ultimate Warrior was so big that he would take Sergeant Slaughter would be in the ring with them, and he was like, look, we're going to do it this way. But Ultimate Warrior he respected their knowledge, but he still was a young guy. So he would do stuff, and Sergeant Slaughter said, pretty soon, he basically said the Ultimate Warrior was like a horse, where you get on him, a wild horse, you get on him and you get bucked off a couple of times. But he said at the end of the day, after getting on the horse, you understand the animal and you beat it into submission, and it finally goes your way. So he said that Ultimate Warrior took a lot of punishment from Sergeant Slaughter, where he had to learn that, hey, it's my way or the highway. So that's pretty funny that Sergeant Slaughter used to have to put Ultimate Warrior in check. Now, if you talk about old school wrestling, you talk about Ultimate Warrior, and let's talk about Ravishing Rick Rude.
The greatest abs I've ever seen.
Huh?
The greatest abs I've ever seen.
Oh, yes. The reason why Ravishing Rick Rude was never at least in the ring with Hulk Hogan was because Ultimate Warrior had a similar story to what I was saying about Dave Bautista. Ultimate Warrior started moving up in the ranks, and he got ahead of himself, and he started feeling himself. Ravishing Rick Rude, who was teaching Ultimate Warrior at the time, got fed up with him, and he actually had a true life fight with Ultimate Warrior where he beat him up pretty bad. And from that point on, Hulk Hogan said, hey, I'll never work with Rick Rude. You know what I'm saying? And you never really see any matches where you see a one-on-one with Hulk Hogan and Rick Rude, because Hulk Hogan was so disgusted by the way that Rick Rude actually beat up Ultimate Warrior.
That one I did not know.
Yes. And another person, the reason why Hot Roddy Piper never won the title is because he would never, we call it in the wrestling industry, we call it jobbing or doing the favors. Well, Hot Rod would never do the favors for Hulk Hogan. He was the only guy from the era that never got pinned by Hulk Hogan. Never. And because of that, you know what I'm saying, he could never win the title as long as Hulk Hogan held it. You know what I'm saying? Which is very sad, because I believe one of the only things that Hot Rod ever was lacking in his career was that WWE championship. Yep. And he was championship material.
Yep. So, he never won one anywhere.
Yeah, he only won the Intercontinental title. Yeah.
I mean, like when he was with what was it called back then? Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling? Around here in the Crockett promotion back then. Crockett, he never won the main title here. I remember some of the battles with him and Greg Valentine back in the 80s. Oh, man. He beat the crap out of each other.
dog collar match, which
Well,
he lost.
they said that. Do you remember the dog collar match with
Yes.
the chain connecting the two around the neck? They were thinking, all right, we'll do this, and we're gonna really sell it. We're gonna make this huge, and so they did it, and it went over so well. They apparently booked him to do it for like another 5 or 6 times, and they were like, we thought we were doing this only once.
Yes.
And he said that their necks, where the collar was around them, started getting this massive rash.
A lot of people don't know. Hot Rod lost 70% of his hearing in his left ear because of that match.
Yep.
So when he first got to the WWE, he couldn't wrestle because ear, nose, and throat, that's all connected. So if something's wrong with your ear, nose, and throat, that's all connected to your equilibrium. Your equilibrium is what tells your brain that you're level. So Hot Rod can keep his equilibrium, which means he couldn't keep his balance because he had lost 70% of hearing in his ear. So when he got to WWE, they had to make him a manager first before he could actually wrestle. He had to heal up from his ear being busted.
So, I just realized I didn't tell you who the person I think is going to be a male star coming up, a young person.
Who's the next one?
Yeah, as I said, the woman Sonya Deville, but I think the guy, Keith Lee.
Keith Lee. Oh yeah.
I'm like, that dude is huge. He's got so much skill. He can move. He can jump. I'm like, this guy's got it all.
That's a big dude. That is a big dude. I think the WWE lost a lot of opportunity with Keith Lee is a good one now. But when I think about young talent, he's not necessarily young because he's been in WWE for a while. But I think the WWE should have bled off. They bled off a little bit of Mankind on Bray Wyatt, the Fiend. But I really think that Bray would have been done a lot better if they had bled off a little bit of Undertaker on him. I believe that Undertaker should have endorsed him. He should have said, hey, this is my guy. This is the guy that's going to take my legacy on to the next level. If not Bray Wyatt, they should have done that with Aleister Black. I think that Aleister Black and Bray Wyatt have that Undertaker, because as old schools, you're always waiting on the guy to be the next, just like Andre the Giant, the next one was the Big Show. You got Mark Henry. You got Big
Mark
E.
Henry is a guy I want to meet.
Mark Henry is, to me, Mark Henry career has its very high moments. One of his highest moments for me was when he did that retirement speech.
I literally was teared up when he was doing that.
When he swerved all of us and slammed Cena, I was like, this guy is he should have won the title.
Yeah.
That was so awesome. Hindsight 2020, I think they realized they dropped the ball with that one.
I mean, but if you ever hear him in the back, they say this is the nicest, most humble guy in the world. And also, he is the dad of a hand.
Thank you. Mae Young, oh my God. See, they're not going to understand that unless they are true wrestling fans. The best Mark Henry story I've ever heard was the world is so sensitive now. But we was at a time where DX could actually put on blackface and go out as the Nation of Domination, which is Farouk, The Rock, at the time Owen Hart, and The Godfather, all those guys.
Well, there's one you're missing.
D'Lo Brown.
There you go. We can't miss D'Lo.
Yeah. The brother says he's at it.
I mean, he would get up on the top rope and he would shake his head. I'm like, that thing's about to fall off.
My God, what you call it? Road Dogg did him so funny. The brother says that he has to do it. He went to this thing. But DX dressed in blackface, which you could not do now.
No.
But it's okay. Being a black man
with that fake eye thing going way up here for The Rock.
It's only 2 times now as an African American that I've never even thought about being offended by blackface. One is Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. Oh my God. I'm the dude that's playing the dude that's supposed to be another dude. I love Robert Downey Jr. And that to me, that offends people, but to me, I don't give a damn. That is comedy. But another time when DX came to the ring as Nation. So one of my favorite Mark Henry stories is, X-Pac did Ms. Mark Henry, and Triple H was like, how do you get your pecs to go way from the front all the way around to your back? So after they came out of the ring, it's called the gorilla position. The gorilla position is where as soon as you come out of the ring or as soon as you're about to go in the ring, that is the area where you get dressed, not dressed, but you know that you're good to go. Boom, your music hits and you go out. That's where Vince is sitting there watching everything that goes on. It's called the gorilla position, named after Gorilla Monsoon.
Yep.
DX or the Fake Nation came out of the ring after impersonating this African American group called the Nation of Domination. The first person that they see is Mark Henry. And Mark Henry is in tears, laughing, like he cannot stop laughing at the fact that X-Pac, the smallest member of DX, played Ms. Mark Henry in the DX thing. So I thought that was a pretty hilarious story. Yeah. Mark Henry said, hey, I know funny when I see it, and that was funny, No,
that was, gosh. I mean, things they could do back then that, they would never be able to do now.
Oh, my God. The Attitude Era was... that's why I think our generation, we're not as offended. The last person that was able to kind of tell the truth without getting backlash was Dave Chappelle. The Dave Chappelle show was such ahead of its time.
The very first skit on that show.
His show broke so many barriers and it introduced America into the mind of the average, the average African American. This is the type of stuff, and it made it cool for us to laugh at, racism and the things that go on and stereotypes. Dave Chappelle, who is one of my favorite. If you haven't seen it's on YouTube. It's called it's named after a number. I think it's I think it might be 8.25. I think it's named after the amount of time that the officer was on the guy's neck. But that special is so that special is so freaking. He's talking to you, but it's still funny. But it's still Dave Chappelle at his most rawest. And Dave Chappelle was the last guy who was able to move along races and make it okay for us not to be offended. Because nowadays everybody's so offended by anything that happens. I'm not that type of person. I don't get offended. I don't get offended by going in the grocery store and seeing Ancient Mama syrup on the shelf. That's the way it's been for God knows how long.
Yeah.
I'm offended by a lot of stuff. And one of my better friends is a guy who's white who has hair like me. His hair he's an afro and he wants to grow dreads like me. So this is the type of people that I surround myself with. I grew up not necessarily seeing color, and then being a member of the comic book community, I really can't see color. It's just funny. It's funny when nerds see me because they're like, are you really a nerd? Or are you supposed to be a nerd? You don't look the typical nerd. I used to wear glasses. I put contacts in, and the reason why my hair looks like that is because I come from Miami. So Miami has a strong island background. But I've been raised to not see color, but at the same time to know who I am. So.
Yeah, I've said for forever. I tell people, for me, I see two kinds of people. I see good people and I see pieces of crap. And if you're a good person, it's anywhere. If you're a bad person, it can be anywhere. And my best example was when I was going to church. There were, some of the nicest people you'll ever meet, people that would do anything for anybody. And then there was that little group that just ruin it for everybody.
Yeah.
And as soon as they walk out the church, they was gossiping, putting down everybody. I'm like, what?
That's the thing about being religious too, is that when you claim your faith, a lot of people are like thinking that you're supposed to walk with perfect.
Yeah.
No, I'm a man of faith, but I still swear. I still have my bad days. Like the Big Show says, sometimes when you meet me, I'm gonna be a butthole, and then sometimes I could be as sweet as nice. It just depends on what day I'm in. But one thing that I've always carried myself with is I'm mostly a positive person. When you meet me, you'll never really see a bad side of me, and I pride myself on that, because one thing that I understand is that it's enough hurt in this world. And so people look forward. When I take a day off of work, the next day when I come back, my coworkers, all of them will know that I was out that day. And that's scary, but it's a heavy responsibility that my Creator has put on me, is that I look forward to when I come to work and I smile. The first thing people are always going to see from me, they're always going to see that $1 million smile. If I'm even tempted to carry any problems out there in the world, people will pick up right away. It was one day recently where I went to work and I wasn't even showing that I wasn't in the best mood, but they picked up on it so quick. They were like, "Fred, what's wrong with you? Why are you quiet? Blah, 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 blah." People don't allow me to have a bad day, being the type of person I am. And I'm not saying that to brag, but I'm saying that to people that have these problems, is that you don't understand how important you are to other people, to put a smile on their face, because I have peace in my house. I love being home. You know what I'm saying? Some people when they go home, it's like they got to go straight in their room because they got somebody angry coming at them, or they got bills they got to pay, this and that. You know what I'm saying? So, if you come from a peaceful home and you're a peaceful person, allow other people. A smile is very contagious. So if I smile, you know what I'm saying, it causes other people to smile. And one thing we got to understand about our platform here on YouTube is that me and you, D, we're able to bless people. So if you watch, my videos, at the end, I always say, focus on the ones that show you love, and on the ones that don't show you love, hey, we're going to keep on rolling without them. I use that platform to sneak in a quick prayer. You know what I'm saying?
I was actually kind of thinking, when we get to the end, I want that on my podcast tonight.
Yeah, people, it's just like going to church. When you're growing up in church, the last thing the pastor do is the benediction, give your life to Christ and all this kind of stuff. But it's just so much negativity out there that I'm not going to be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about.
You're honestly saying the exact same way I am at. My brother owns a convenience store, and I haven't been able to work there for over 3 months because of everything going on. But I went in there for one day, and I swear, like 8 people was going to come up and give me a hug. I'm like, if it wasn't for the virus, I'd hug everybody. Yeah. And because they was like, gosh, it's just not the same when you're not here.
Yeah,
because I got that stupid grin, and I will crack the same stupid jokes over and over.
It's what I try to stay away from it, but it's what the Bible says. We are the salt of the world, and we are the light of the world. And certain people that you can always depend on to put you in a good mood. Like one of my favorite inspirational speakers, I'm not talking about religion, I'm just talking about inspirational speakers, is Joel Osteen. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, can have negative things to say about him, but is any of that true? But the thing about Joel Osteen is that, what I'm saying, he's very positive and he keeps it moving. Yep. And you have enough detractors in the world right now to where that we need more people that can actually speak life into you and make you want to do better. The first thing I always said to my kids, and even my sister, the woman in my life, I always ask them, "What is your purpose in life?" If you don't think your purpose in life, if your purpose in life doesn't scare you, you're not thinking big enough, because it's something in you that's a gift that you can do that will inspire other people and bring other people up to your level. We're not talking about just taking care of yourself. When you actually elevate, you have the power to reach down and elevate other people. So, always think positive. Yeah, you're gonna have dark days, and I've had mine. I have my share of dark days.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, you have to rise above all that, because you have people that depend on you, whether it be your kids, co-workers, spouse, whatever. So
yeah, I love my positivity. I think I've said this is why I love the New Day so much. The power of positivity.
Yeah, that's true, man. Just seeing. I think people give Kofi credit for being. It's hard for me to say he's the first African American champion, because what are you saying about The Rock? What are you saying about him? Are we just gonna throw the baby out water? I think The Rock was.
Are they just saying WWE? Or wait a minute. Are they saying that he's the first that actually came from Africa? Because didn't he originally come from Guyana?
I can dig that, but a lot of people are like, when you listen to a lot of, black people call it woke, right?
Yeah.
Is when you're actually on top of black politics and stuff like that. But you have some woke people that's so woke that they're idiots. And they say that The Rock really wasn't an African American champion. Okay, but what is his dad? Rocky Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
That's black.
Yep.
So the WWE recognizes Kofi Kingston as the first African-born champion.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are saying he's the first African American champion, and that's not true. The Rock was. And
was Farouk, but that was WCW back in the day.
Ron Simmons, yeah, he was WCW. But then, look who made him champion. A black guy trapped in a white guy's body. Dusty Rhodes. we the black.
Yes.
We the black community adopted Dusty Rhodes a long time ago. Dusty Rhodes is basically a black man trapped in a white man's body.
From everything I've heard, him and Ric Flair have been adopted.
Yeah, but then, when you actually look at Dusty Rhodes and you look at his son, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Cody. Look who Cody married. That obviously is a nod to his father, because his father basically, Yeah. Dusty Rhodes is just so cool. The cool thing about Dusty Rhodes, one of the best things I ever liked about Dusty Rhodes is not only his creativity, not only his battles with Ric Flair, all that kind of stuff that Dusty Rhodes did. One of the best things I like about Dusty Rhodes is when you actually go back and you watch the 3 matches with him and Superstar Billy Graham and Madison Square Garden. Those 3 matches put Dusty and Superstar on a whole nother stratosphere.
Yep.
And you understand those matches where you didn't have a lot of cross championship matches, but that was one of the first. And when I talk about Superstar Billy Graham, I showed D this off camera, but this is actually Superstar Billy Graham. He's a precursor to Hulk Hogan. He's a precursor to Jesse the Body Ventura. Matter of fact, when Superstar Billy Graham came on the scene, before him, wrestlers were rounded, but they weren't cut up. They weren't athletic looking. They were
the Georges of the world back then.
So when Superstar came along with the physique and the charisma, and this guy actually was with Muhammad Ali. So you got to understand, this guy was 20 years ahead of his time. He was the Hulk Hogan of his day. But yeah, just imagine such an over-the-top character meeting the most charismatic person ever to be in wrestling. And there's nobody more beloved than Dusty Rhodes when you're a wrestling fan. Anybody to tell you Dusty Rhodes is one of the best talkers. He's one of the most charismatic person. And the reason why I say this is because when you look at Dusty Rhodes outside of wrestling, he's a heavy set guy that doesn't look athletic at all. But when you involve him in the wrestling world, this guy is the best talker, one of the best champions, one of the greatest minds in wrestling. So Dusty Rhodes blew our mind away. You know, being fans of him, if you're old school purist, like I call my friends, if you're old school purist, you gotta love Dusty Rhodes. You gotta put him up there in the top 5 of all time. So
back in the day, I used to say he's like Jupiter. He's big and round and has a big red dot on the side.
you talk about the side of his belly. What was that?
I don't know what that was, but he had this big, huge red spot right here.
You know,
I don't know what that was.
Then back in the day,
I was like, if it was a bruise, it lasted 20 years.
Yes. Back in the day, though, they used to actually like have these lifelong injuries. Like, you know, if you talk about old school, if you talk about Abdullah the Butcher and Bruiser Brody, these guys would actually take a real fork. They would actually take a real fork and rake each other's foreheads with them. And to this day, if you look at Ric Flair, if you look at old videos of Dusty Rhodes, like you'll see those gash marks in their foreheads from when they used to actually, they call it blading, where they actually hide a razor in their gear, and they would bring it out at a point and cut their own head and make themselves bleed. If I had to be a wrestler, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could blade.
Or you could just get New Jack to do it for you.
If you guys don't know who New Jack, I don't know why. Okay, that's the name that you don't mention when you talk about wrestling, because when you talk about if you talk about music, New Jack is parental advisory to the next level. You can buy regular records in the store, and then you go on the other side of the store where there's records with all kind of security tags and all this kind of stuff. That's what New Jack is. New Jack is the real deal. New Jack, a lot of people don't realize New Jack actually was acquitted of murder 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times. As I just watched a documentary of New Jack on Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh yeah.
Which if you guys haven't seen those documentaries, those things are amazing.
Yeah, they are, but they'll put you in they're very depressing. But yeah,
that's true. That is true.
Crystal Wall one was that was hard for me. Oh, that was hard.
Yeah.
But speaking on New Jack, New Jack has one of the best promos that I've ever seen in wrestling. When he went to Ohio Valley Wrestling, those Southern people, well, let me just say it how it is. Those Southern white folks did not know who he was.
They wanted to murder him. Legitimately.
New Jack said, when I got out the car, I slipped on tobacco spit. He said, I don't like anybody in this area. Nothing but cotton farmers. Nothing but cotton pickers. He was said. New Jack said, "See, this is the era me and D grew up in. You could say stuff that was totally offensive, and people would see the entertainment value." Yep. New Jack said, "O.J. Simpson, keep it up. You did a good job. Two less that they were worried about." I was like, he got away with that?
Yeah. Because I remember Jim Cornette was like, just go out there and do what you do. Yeah. Piss people off. He was successful at that too. Do you remember what's his teammate Mustafa? And they said that dude was completely crazy. Legitimately completely crazy.
Mustafa Saeed.
Yeah, they said sometimes if he couldn't find any like weed to smoke, if he found a pencil, he would like get the pencil shavings and try to smoke it.
Oh my God, Mustafa Saeed. I'll tell you, that's one of my best. We call it promos. Y'all call it like talking, but in wrestling business, we call it promos when they talk. But New Jack has one of the best promos. I mean, when I saw that promo, I was like, how did they not kill him on the spot? And how did he get away with saying, he said, Snoop Dogg, I called you the other day. He said, you going to get off because Snoop Dogg was going through the murder trial. He said, O.J. Simpson, keep it up. 2 less we got to worry about. I said, as a black man, I was like, ooh. I was offended by that, but it was funny, but not funny for Ron Goldman. But you know, I just couldn't believe some of the stuff we used to get away with in the Attitude Era. It was just where you spoke your mind, and you know, hey, if you got offended, really, people didn't get offended back then. We kind of understood the entertainment value of everything.
Yeah, one of the things that New Jack did, I was like, ooh, is when he was going to do a movie. He's like, they talked about it backstage. It's like, are you all right with it? He's like, I'm all right with it. They were on like some scaffolding, so they were like, yeah, I will throw it. No, not that one. That was the receipt.
Okay, when the guy pushed him off and half his brain bled out his ear or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like the guy was like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. He's like, you will damn well go do it. And they both went off, and the guy landed on his head. Yes, so he literally cracked his skull. So he was out for over a year, and they had another match. He bought a taser, tased the guy, and then chucked him off the top of this thing. And he's like, the only thing that he was upset about is that guy hit the ring instead of the floor.
He didn't die.
He said, yeah, that guy broke his ankle, and he's like, well, he's like, the feud's over now.
Oh my God, the New Jack is.
I was like,
it's not too many people that make me uneasy in the world, or you know, make me kind of like, I know I'm gonna have to like literally, if I get into it with this person, I'm literally gonna have to get the jump and like kill him first. Mm-hmm. New Jack is one of those people like I would not take him like lightly. Like what I know about him, I know that if he doesn't like you, it's over. You know what I'm saying? So I would never get in the ring with him. It's just like the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors. Road Warriors were not a work. We call it in the rest. We're gonna give you a lot of wrestling terms. You're gonna go to school with them, B&D.
Yeah.
A work is when you go in there and you do things by the book and it's fake. Blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's what a work is.
That's your pre-planned stuff right there.
A shoot.
Got your shoot.
A shoot is the real deal. Mm-hmm. Whether it be me talking about you or whether me be going out there and whooping you behind. LOD was not a work.
Yep.
When you were in the ring with them, it wasn't no faking wrestling or none of that. It was actually, you were actually going to fight. Hey, baby. Go upstairs. And with the LOD, when you got in the ring with them, or Legion of Doom, you were literally in for a fist fight. So bad to the point where people would actually take razors to their fists to fight those guys, because those guys were the real deal. It wasn't no faking an Animal and Hulk. And New Jack is the same way. New Jack is legitimately a scary person. So.
The one other I heard that no one would mess with was Haku.
Yeah, because Haku is a legitimate Samoan.
A legit Samoan badass. They're like if anybody did anything, is like if they were in a bar just having fun, drinking stuff, yeah, don't. Just stay away.
I heard. I even think he was part of the Bones Club with Undertaker. That's what he has tatted on his stomach. Is him, Haku, Sadio Vega, and a couple of more of them boys. Mm-hmm. But it's funny. It's funny because Undertaker surrounded himself with a bunch of badass Samoans and a Puerto Rican. So
you did mention Bruiser Brody and Abdullah.
Oh yeah,
those two guys to me have some of the, I still say, tragic stories.
Abdullah was hardcore before. Abdullah and Bruiser Brody were hardcore before that term was coined.
Yep.
I was proud to hear that Mick Foley, who I never knew. I knew he had a lot of respect for Terry Funk, but I didn't know that he had so much respect for Bruiser Brody.
Yeah.
Bruiser Brody, and this is a shout out to my wrestling brother. You got some people who are family that become blood, and I have one guy named Daniel Duke. Me and him are both old school historians. We can speak on wrestling like me and you are speaking on wrestling, and nobody can understand what the hell we're saying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But me and him, we have such a soft spot for Bruiser Brody. and the way they killed him over there in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
To this day, I don't. I like Carlito when he came to America, but when I found out about the Bruiser Brody story, I lost all respect for him and the Colon family. Like I literally hold a grudge against Carlos Colon, who is a big promoter over there in Puerto Rico, the Puerto Rican champion back in the day of the territories when wrestling was in different territories. Carlos Colon actually allowed one of his wrestlers to so the backstory of Bruiser Brody was it's a big legitimately bad guy, just big huge guy, but had a heart of a giant, but literally in the ring he would just demolish you because he had to keep that persona. So he wrestles a guy from Puerto Rico, and he's supposed to put him over, which his term is he's supposed to allow the guy to beat on him a little bit. But Bruiser Brody's like, no, I'm gonna beat the guy up. Do we remember Kabuki?
Great Kabuki.
I mean, you got the Kabuki, Leonard. You got the Kabuki Warriors right now, which is Asuka and who else?
Kari Singh.
And they both do the miss. Asuka does the miss, which is.
And poor Kari, she gets hurt every time she gets in the ring.
She does. And Kabuki was part of WCCW, which was an outfit in Dallas, Texas, which was the Von Erichs, which was a part of. Bruiser Brody was a part of. Of course
that was a Gary Hart creation.
Yeah, Gary Hart. Oh my God, Gary Hart is so funny. That's how Gary Hart talks. But yeah.
Back to Bruiser. Sorry about that. Back to Bruiser.
So Bruiser went over to Puerto Rico. He was owed some money, and he was actually going to buy into all this you can see on the dark side of the ring. Yep. He was going to buy into the promotion, and a guy who was under Carlos Colon called him in the shower and stabbed him twice with a knife that was so sharp. The third time he went to stab Bruiser, it was so sharp that it cut off his ponytail. And Bruiser could have been saved, but because of the traffic in front of the building, they had a hard time getting in the building to get his body or get Bruiser as he was alive to the hospital. And then when he got to the hospital, they kind of played around and didn't really take his injury serious because people got stabbed over there all the time. So we lost one of the better hardcore legends in our business, which is Bruiser Brody. So to this day, I don't really have a lot of love for the Colon family because of the way that they allowed that to go down. And the guy was never charged with the murder. Yeah,
they said they had a trial, but the people that were going to testify, they didn't get their subpoenas until the thing was already over. So I know Tony Atlas was talking about that, and it was somebody else that said, he was supposed to.
Dirty Dutch.
That Dutch Mantel, yeah. Yep.
Dirty Dutch, one of the greatest.
But now, the thing I lost respect for, I just heard this a few weeks ago, was Abdullah. They said he had hepatitis C.
Oh, yeah, purposely would give it to people, yeah.
And purposely give it to people. I was like, really?
Yeah, purposely would give it to people, yeah. Yeah, because he's one of the ones that they made when they outlawed blading, which is basically cutting yourself. He's one of the ones. He's one of the reasons why they outlawed it, because he purposely hid his sickness. Now I actually met him in person. Matter of fact, he stays not too far away from where I stay at. He has a restaurant called Abdullah the Butcher, basically where his wife is Asian, and he does ribs and barbecue chicken, and his wife would do the Asian or the Chinese rice. And it's a good marriage of food. And when you walk in there, the wall that he has of pictures of wrestlers, it's legendary. Ric Flair, Jake Snake Roberts, King Kong Bundy, Hot Rod, everybody is on that wall. And he has a nice painting of himself on the wall and back in the cashier. So, and one aspect, going to his restaurant is like rubbing on wrestling royalty, but at the same time too, knowing that he was purposely hiding his sickness and getting people sick is actually like sickening. So
so there's this one guy. He actually has a YouTube channel. It's called Hannibal. I think it's called Hannibal TV. I think it's his YouTube channel. And he was like, he got the call and he was going to start with WWE, but they were like, finish what you got to do first and then come. And he had a match with Abdullah, and they were like,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Young wrestlers.
They're like, no blading, no nothing. And Abdullah pulled a fork out. I think
pulled a fork out. That was his trademark, the fork.
And I was like, really? And then he tested positive for hepatitis and never got to work in WWE because of it.
Him and his story, because like I said, my brother in wrestling, Daniel Duke, me and him, we go at it all the time, and we're purists. But he told me about the story years ago. He told me about this story probably like 7 years ago when I first got on Facebook. And his story is tragic. Also, another story that's tragic is a wrestler out of California by the name of the Human Tornado. The Human Tornado had a pimp like persona, and he would actually do this thing where he would put you in the corner, and then he would do a split and hit you in the balls or whatever. But he could never reach prominence because we ended up finding out that he tested HIV positive. And that's a no-no. First of all, blood is a no-no, but then too, if you accidentally bleed on somebody, you're HIV positive. But that killed his career. So hearing stories like that kind of, that's the underbelly of the business that we love so much.
Well, let's also mention this. You said it earlier, but we didn't kind of tell people what it was. When people get color in the ring, that means they bleed. For those who don't know, they got color. Yeah. And to me, one of the most famous ones was Stone Cold versus Bret Hart.
That is a match that put Stone Cold. It showed people that Stone Cold was the true life tough guy that he was. But if you are a true purist like me and you was watching Stunning Steve Austin and WCW, and you knew he wasn't no joke. And then you
also remember Mark Calloway from WCW.
Oh yeah, Mean Mark. That is the Undertaker.
Yeah, what was it? The Skyscrapers.
Skyscrapers.
Dave something.
Yeah, Dave something.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't realize that these wrestlers have had a couple runs before they were actually famous. But old school wrestling purists, like back in the territorial days, you can go to WCW, develop yourself, and then you go off to the WWE, and boom, you're a made man. Not as quickly as you like it, but eventually when WWE gets their hands on you, they'll put something on you. Now, Stone Cold is one of my favorite heroes because his podcast and the way Stone Cold lives his life is just like it's straightforward. He's no joking around. He's a hardworking man, and he doesn't take no for an answer. It took him a long time to achieve the greatness, but the good thing about the life we live is that when you have faith, God will pay you back for the years that you struggled. Stone Cold, man, what can you say about him? He's our generation of Hulk Hogan.
Well, I mean, to me, I think and Stone Cold has said this, his career really turned around when he was in ECW for just a little time. Because he started cutting promos on Eric Bischoff.
Monday Night Quill.
Yeah.
I have those in his Stone Cold DVD. I have those.
And then what was he, the Ringmaster?
The Ringmaster, and when he was at when he was at ECW, he had Monday Night Quill. This is where the big boys play with each other, and he was a trip, man. You can see the greatness in him then, but Vince is not a wrestling mark, meaning he's not. He's a wrestling fan, but he's not going to be a wrestling fan as far as us. He's not a tape trader. Right. Back in the day, I would get DVDs and not DVDs, but I would get VHSs from.
The kids don't know what those are now.
They don't know what that is. But we were tape traders. We didn't have the internet. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So we knew the information about wrestlers because we were true wrestling fans. We would get the magazines and this and that, and we was wondering who was going to jump from WCW to WWE.
The Hollywood Blondes.
Yep, him and
the great tag team.
Him and the great Brian Pillman.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, if you go back and watch Stone Cold matches, or you go back and watch Stone Cold, you will notice that not in the matches, but a lot of times when he was doing his promos, stunning people and all that kind of stuff, he had a gold chain. That gold chain came from Brian Pillman, who was one of his best friends, who actually took Stone Cold and bought him out of his shell and started developing that character that we all love today. Like a lot of people love Stone Cold for his badassery. I like Stone Cold because me and him had the same sense of humor. Stone Cold can make me crack up merely by just being himself. Steve Austin is actually a very funny person, especially when he turned heel during the Invasion era. So,
I mean, some of the best promos for me was him with Kurt Angle. You remember those?
What promos we talking about?
Him with Kurt Angle.
Oh my God!
I mean, the one where Kurt Angle gave him and Vince a hat, and then he put on.
He had the little baby hat.
Yeah.
And he said, "Give me back the hat. You're an Indian giver." No, I'm not. Indian giver. Oh my God! Jimmy Crackcorn.
I want to go man with a broken freaking neck.
Oh my God! One of my favorites is Stone Cold's birthday. Edge and Christian. Oh my God! When Triple H is getting annoyed, and they say we could do your theme song too. You think you know me? You think you know me? He was like, get out! Like, that's one of my favorite skits of all time. Like
those two guys, Edge and Christian, I've been a huge fan of them. I remember when they first come up with Gangrel.
Yeah, the Brood.
Yeah, we were at gosh, what was the name of the paper? Was it King of the Ring? Is the one where Billy Gunn won it.
Okay.
And they had Sunday Night Heat on before the pay-per-view.
Wow.
So Gangrel, his gimmick was he would spit blood. He had drinking the cup and spit blood.
Yeah, bloodbath.
Yeah, so everyone in that little area before he drank and then spit the blood, they cleared out.
Oh my God.
This was one poor guy. He was in a wheelchair.
Got the bloodbath?
He couldn't get out there.
Oh,
and he got it 3 times that night.
Yeah, they were saying Billy Gunn was saying how he wanted them to do that to him. Bloodbath. And he said it was such a cold material that you know what I'm saying? Because the guy that mixed it, they said the guy that mixed it, if he didn't like you, he wouldn't warm up the blood at all, which was basically a cough syrup with coloring. So, a lot of times when people got bloodbath, they got the real cold stuff. Billy Gunn said he wanted it done because he thought it was so cool. But he said after they did it to him, he was like, I wish I would have never done it. Because it took almost 2 days for him to get it off of him.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, that takes me back to who was it? Roddy Piper. When he is that, I can't remember what event it was.
I know what you're talking about.
The half black paint, half white paint, like Braveheart.
Hot Rod back in the day, like I said, before all this stuff got crazy, he had a match with Bad News Brown. So Hot Rod, being the genius that he is, decides to paint his face, decides to paint his body, half his body, half black. So basically, Hot Rod was saying that he's part of every man. He's black, he's white, he is what he is. In today's society, he'd get in trouble for that.
Yeah.
But he painted half his body black. So he goes off to do the promo or do the interview with Mean Gene Okerlund. And then he comes back. he comes back and he comes back to makeup, and the lady takes the solution, dips the rag in the solution, wiping his face. Okay, she's wiping his face. I'm starting to bleed. What the hell is going on? I stop. Andre the Giant and Arnold Skolin. Arnold Skolin is an old school manager. Yep. They poured a solution out and put water in it. So the lady's rubbing him, but it's not coming off. So Hot Rod goes and gets drunk, goes to Disney World, gets a 6-foot Mickey Mouse, and is walking through the airport drunk with a 6-foot Mickey Mouse up under him, and he's painted half black. So he said that the guy at customs was like, didn't even look at him. He just stamped this thing and was like, all right, you can go. He said when he got on the plane, the people was like, sir. And he's like, okay, they're going to say something about me being painted half black. He's like, sir, you're going to have to check in Mickey. He said, give him a first class seat. So he bought a first class seat for his 6-foot Mickey Mouse and drove home. He said it took 2 days and him and Rick Martel in the shower scrubbing with a toothbrush to get the solution off of him.
Yep.
He said Andre the Giant and Arnold Skolin really got him. But in the rest of the business, we call those ribs.
Mm-hmm.
Ribs is when you play a joke on people. And the number one person in wrestling who does the ribs is, who is that, D?
It should be
the number one ribber. Owen Hart.
Owen.
So you're wrestling. You're wrestling purists like me.
I mean, one of the greatest is he had some kid or something. No, some guy. He had a stack of photos. He wanted to get one of the wrestlers to sign, and the guy was like, what was the guy that played the porn star? Val Venus. Val Venus. Yeah, and the guy was, Val was signing autographs. The guy comes up with a stack like this. He's like, I want you to sign these. He was like, I'll sign one. And so he signed one. So then he goes in to check into his hotel room. So and the guy comes up again. He's like, hey, will you sign these? He's like, dude, I signed one. All right, you're gonna be going out and sell them. I signed one. So a little while later, a guy calls his room. He's like, there's a guy here that says that you said you'd come down and sign these photos for him. And Val is pissed. He goes downstairs. He's mad. I think they said he was just in his shorts. He was so mad. He runs outside and he's like, where's this guy at? And he sees Owen Hart standing there laughing at him.
Owen Hart. A lot of people don't understand Owen Hart's the youngest member of Bret Hart's family. The last, they say that Chris Jericho is the last survivor of the dungeon, but really Owen Hart is the last Hart. And such a legendary family, but he's the youngest brother of Bret Hart, the youngest brother of the Hart family. But absolutely, they said he was the worst person but to play jokes on everybody backstage. The only other person that could touch him was Mr. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Perfect, Kirk Hennig, was absolutely one of the worst people that you wanted to play jokes on you too. So
man, they did his son wrong.
Kurt Axel.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you've got this legacy built in. I mean, why?
My thing
it's almost like they tried to hide that was his dad.
My thing is, okay, you got wrestlers, second, third generation wrestlers that try to break away from their family legacy, right?
Yep.
But if I was the son of the Undertaker, guess what I would come in as? I would come in as the second Undertaker. I'm sorry, I know that's my dad, but hey, I'm coming in as second Undertaker.
Exactly.
Goldust, he had to totally what was his name? What's his real name? So you got Goldust,
Dustin Runnels,
Dustin Rhodes. He had to create a character so outlandish to be away from his father, Dusty Rhodes.
No, like Vince did that to him. Vince.
Yeah, Vince.
Vince did that. I think until Dusty's death, he thought that was a rib on him.
Yeah, It really was. Vince told him. He said, "I'll let you get your son over in WCW. Then I'm going to steal him." But I mean, Goldust did pretty good. Goldust did pretty good. But when you look at Cody Rhodes is just like his father. He's just another. You got to bleed the characters off on somebody, and that's what the WWE. Huh?
I said Cody's got the mind.
Yeah, Cody's basically his father. It's just that it's such a hard shoes to fill, but Cody has done a good job when he broke away from the WWE.
Yep.
I believe that you should bleed the character off on people. We need another Undertaker, which is basically the Fiend right now. The new Undertaker is Bray Wyatt. The next, the Stone Cold character has been bled off on Becky Lynch and also on Kevin Owens.
And Kevin Owens is so underrated, it makes me mad.
When he was on the Indies,
yeah,
he was him. That apron buster. Oh,
yeah. I mean, I think they've just him. Sami Zayn is another one.
Yeah, Zayn,
these guys are smart. They can talk. They can go.
They don't know what to do with Sami Zayn.
Yeah,
Sami Zayn used to be El Generico.
Yeah, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
The generic luchador.
Orphan from Mexico. Yeah. And he's Canadian. He's Canadian. Red hair. But yeah, Kevin Owens, they've allowed him to kind of be his character on the Indies, but he's not totally that character.
Right.
But Kevin Owens on the Indies was another badass Samoa Joe. Like people I hate that this generation will never know how good Samoa Joe was. Samoa Joe, oh my God, one of the best wrestling matches I've ever seen was Samoa Joe versus Austin Aries at Slammiversary. Those two, oh my God. When Samoa Joe is in the ring with you, you literally would think this man's trying to kill you.
Well, I mean, when he would come to the ring, the crowd would chant, Joe was gonna kill you.
So, but I was saying that to say, just like how they allowed the Big Show to kind of allow Andre the Giant's legacy to bleed off on him. When you talk about Curtis Axel and all that kind of stuff, he should have been brought in as Mr. Perfect. Exactly. What did you do with Ric Flair's daughter? You brought her in as the queen.
Yeah.
So,
exactly. I mean, there's so many guys and girls, really, that I think they dropped the ball on.
Well, they better do the right thing with the Rock's daughter. So that's where our hope is.
Yeah, I'm hoping she has what he has.
Yeah. She looks like she's not afraid to be in front of the crowd because she stood up and said something recently, and I was very proud of her. And I was like, wow, that's such a bold move in her, such an early move in her career. I think she stood up and said something about, I don't know, there's something about like the tension that's going on right now in the U.S. She stood up and said something, and I was like, good job, girl. You know what I'm saying? You really, you can tell who your father is. Because The Rock, he had no fear when it came to the microphone. Tully Blanchard's daughter, Tessa Blanchard.
Tessa Blanchard, yeah. Her stepdad.
Who's the stepdad?
Magnum TA.
Magnum TA, yeah. It's such a tragic story.
I actually met her in San Diego, by the way.
Okay. That's pretty cool. I met female wrestlers. I met Gail Kim.
You know what? That's a woman that got totally ripped by WWE. One of the greatest women wrestlers ever.
First night in, she won the women's championship.
Yeah, she was short and blonde. She was short and not blonde. So they were like, "Well, you're just not good enough."
You're Asian.
Yeah,
but I think the WWE kind of has, sometimes they have too much talent that they don't know what to do with it. So, like even Mickie James, to allow Cena to do that to Mickie James was a tragedy because I thought Mickie James was going to take what Lita and Trish did and take it to the next level.
Mickie in the ring back in her first run, she was something else. She's actually from Richmond, Virginia. It's about a couple hours from here.
Okay.
Raleigh, by the way.
I remember how she got over on Trish, how she won the match. Remember the infamous touch?
Yes.
Or the grab him by the.
Yeah, in the nether regions.
Yeah. I think she also kissed Trish in that match too, which threw Trish off.
I think so. Well, do you remember Paige was going against Natty?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I think they didn't allow Maddie to, just the same way they allowed the Queen to capitalize off her father. They should have done that with Maddie and the Hart Dynasty.
Mm-hmm. Natty she is one of the best women wrestlers that should be in the Hall of Fame one day. Yeah. Because of all she's done, not only with her career, but putting over other people.
Even a lot of people don't realize that she, when the Ultimate Warrior died, she went and actually checked up on his family, brought him back to the ring, and took care of the girls. And I think Ultimate Warrior's younger daughter, eventually we're going to see her wrestle. But Natty has always been influential in being a kind of person that reaches outside of the ring and does the right thing. But like I said, with her, they've done so much with her. Remember, she was a toothless champion. She was missing a tooth. They got knocked out in the ring.
Yeah.
So they made a run off of that. And then at one time, they was calling her the flatulence champion, where she was farting.
I just watched a video about that the other day. I was like, I completely forgot about that little run. I was like, oh my gosh.
You really gonna make this girl fart and think that's
Yeah, well, another person that really does a lot of stuff for people outside the ring is Chris Jericho.
Yeah, man, Chris Jericho, and because when I saw that with Chris Benoit's son, Chris Jericho. Go ahead.
I would say, well, one of the Nasty Boys, gosh, I can't remember which one it was, but they said he was about to lose his house.
Black hair, blonde hair,
the blonde hair.
And you know that's Hulk Hogan's best friend. That's Mike something. But yeah, that's Hogan's best friend. So Hogan should have been the one to step up.
Yeah, I mean, well, Hogan might have been going through bankruptcy at that time, knowing him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true too. Yeah, but they're all in the Tampa area.
Yeah, I mean, but Jericho has done this stuff. He doesn't want people to know, but it kind of comes out like way after the fact. Like, I mean, watching the Dark Side of the Ring, he's done them all. Does the voice, the narration for him.
Yeah.
And he's helped out so many people that people don't know about.
So many people.
No,
Chris Jericho is, like I said, to me, I've always been a huge Chris Jericho fan.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a top 20, Chris Jericho is always going to be at least somewhere in that top 10.
I mean, for me, I put him pretty much in the top 5. Yeah, I think he's that good.
He's such a jewel because he's not scary. And the good thing that Chris Jericho always had was he had supportive parents.
Yeah.
His parents never told him that he couldn't do anything. And when you got parents like that, you can do anything.
Yeah, his dad was a former hockey player.
And Canadian hockey player.
Mm-hmm.
And Canadian hockey is a little bit more rougher than American hockey. So
yeah. But gosh, I mean, the guy's got so much talent to begin with. But I remember when I first realized how much talent this guy has. You remember in WCW, he was having a run against Dean Malenko?
Yep.
And Malenko, the man of 1,000 holds.
My holes.
And he comes out there. Back in the day, for those who don't know, printers, they had this dot matrix print, and it connects together. You have to like rip the pages apart. But he comes out there, he's like, I'm the man of 1,004 holds. Like every third one was armbar.
Had to do four more than
Dean Malenko. They went to a commercial and they come back and he was like 1,001.
First hole, armbar.
Second
hole, the millesima lie.
The Walls of Jericho.
Yeah, Chris Jericho is a fool. A lot of people don't know that his his submission hold, which is a lion tamer, which turns into the walls. It had to evolve into the Boston Crab because his actual real submission move was actually really that lethal. Well, it was actually hurting people. The lion tamer, because he used to put his 1 foot behind the head, and he would have your legs in a certain way where when you bend back, you literally had to tap out. That was a true to life submission move.
Yeah, you were shaped like the letter C.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, you were like,
yeah, your head was. Let me say, your head was here, but your legs was here. Like he would literally take you and bend you, and the move was so lethal that it didn't hurt anybody, but it just made the wrestlers uncomfortable to where he had to start doing the Boston Crab, which is basically sitting on your back, you know what I'm saying, with 2 legs.
Now, do you remember, did you hear that on one of his podcasts? Because that's where I heard it from.
I actually just knew it. I just said all of a sudden, I being such a big wrestling fan, I was like, why is he not doing the lion tamer the way that he used to do it in WCW? Because it quickly changed a little bit after he got into the WWE.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is he not doing the lion tamer the way that he used to do it? And, you know, me being a big wrestling fan, I was like, oh, he must be really hurting people. You know what I'm saying?
I remember somebody asked him, and he was like, let me put you in, and you'll understand why we changed it.
Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, it literally used to stretch people.
Yeah.
But then, too, you got to understand that Chris Jericho was billed as the last survivor of the Hart Dungeon.
Yeah.
So he wasn't trained by Stu Hart, but he actually was in school, wrestling school, and the way that they learned wrestling was by a book by the great. Okay, Stu Hart is Bret Hart and Owen Hart's dad. Stu Hart ran wrestling territory in Calgary, Alabama, Calgary, Canada. Alberta, Canada. Chris Jericho is from Canada. Christian and Edge are from Canada. Lance Storm is from Canada, who was one of Chris Jericho's first tag team partners. You got
horrible talker.
He's such a boring guy. He's like Dean Malenko. You got so many great wrestlers from Canada. Matter of fact, the great Hot Rod Roddy Piper is from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, which is in Canada. So Canada produces a lot of wrestlers. You know
for those that also don't know, Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega. Who I look at Kenny Omega, people thought I was crazy, but early on in Kenny Omega's career, I used to say this is the next Brian Pillman, because his hair is curly just like Brian. He just reminds me so much of Brian Pillman. So you know, Canada just produces a lot of wrestlers, and in the industry they say stretching, which is actually when they take you in the ring and see, do you really want to be a wrestler? Where they actually take you and put you in submission moves and make you scream and holler to see how bad you want to be in the ring.
Yeah, if you get a chance, not you, because I know you've heard this, but if you haven't heard this, look at I'm sure it's on YouTube, where Stu Hart is stretching some of the newbies. You hear them screaming bloody murder.
They said one person you would never, he could tell you how to wrestle, but do not let him put you in the move. Move was Stu Hart. They said Stu Hart would actually torture the hell out of you.
Yeah. They said many people passed out from the pain.
Oh yeah.
I was like, good Lord, dude.
Stu Hart was a true to life wrestler. He came over from, I forget where he came from. But
my first thought was Ireland, but I'm pretty sure that's not right.
That's not Ireland, but he came over from somewhere, and he arrived in Canada, and you know, Stu Hart did all kind of stuff. He had 16, 18 kids.
Some insane number of kids. Yeah.
So Owen and Bret Hart was from a huge family. of accomplished wrestlers. Matter of fact, most of their brothers were wrestlers, their referees. So
they were all in that Calgary area. I just want you to know we've been on for 2 hours and 40 minutes. If you need to go anything.
Good God, I ain't even noticed. When I'm talking, I don't even.
Yeah.
This is like
I just let you know because I can tell you're getting a little tired. Like if you anytime you want to go, that just let me know.
Oh no, we're good. Whenever you're ready, you're calling the ring, so I'm just going along with you.
We might be on for a long time. I'm like this. I've told people this. My Saturday podcast, because I've been pretty much quarantined for over 3 months. This is my social interaction time.
Oh yeah, and then it's been a long time coming for me and you. Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing is while I'm picking your brain, I'm not realizing how much me and you are like wrestling twins. Like, like the stories that I'm saying, like people don't realize the stories that me and you are talking about. We had no idea that each other even knew. We knew that we loved wrestling, but we didn't know that that we knew so much of the inner workings of the business.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So it's like I said, it's like almost like me talking to my brother Daniel Duke, where we could sit and talk about wrestling for 24 hours and I get tired. The only reason why I yawned was because I worked. Let's see, I came into work at 6 o'clock and I got off at 5, so I worked 11 o'clock shift. I took 2 naps today, and I'm not tired at all, but I did yawn. So, I'm just if anything, I would probably need like my little boy say a potty break, but I don't even need a potty break. I don't, I'm good. I'm Gucci. I'm Gucci, as we would say. But the dungeon. I really wish that they would have turned that house into a museum where I can actually go to Canada and actually see that house, because a lot of people don't realize how many great wrestlers actually came through that house. Like, it's a who's who of wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, when they had that wrestling territory, I mean, pretty much everybody at some point was there. I mean, Andre was there for a while. I mean, everybody.
British Bulldogs, David B. Smith, Dynamite Kid. You had people like
Tyson Kidd, who is married to Natty now.
I was going to say a name that we're not supposed to say.
Yeah.
And being the fact that me and you are wrestling twins, I'm allowing you to say the name. But this is how people don't understand. This is how me and you can just talk, and it's almost like, we're reading each other's eyes. Okay, so what's the name in wrestling?
Right now, I'm hoping you're thinking of Chris Benoit, but I might be wrong.
That's the name. That's the name that you're not supposed to say in wrestling, because so many people are so hurt by the way he went out. But the way I remember Chris Benoit,
the Canadian Crippler.
I don't even think of. It's crazy. I don't think of the tragedy. When you say Chris Benoit, I think of one of the greatest wrestlers that ever lived. You know what I'm saying? And I put the way he went out. I kind of, when you talk about the death of Chris Benoit, I almost think about the death of Eddie Guerrero, because
that's the name I was just about to mention.
They died they didn't even die similarly, but because they were so connected. People don't understand with Chris Benoit. They see a man that killed. People that's not wrestling purists, they think of a guy that killed his oh my God, it is bad. A guy that killed his special needs son and killed his wife. But when you talk about Chris Benoit to a true wrestling purist, we tend to think of one of the. I used to be scared for wrestlers when they wrestled Chris Benoit, especially like one of the things that they hyped up was him and The Rock. he used to beat the holy hell out of The Rock. I mean, I used to be like, Rocky, get out of the way. Like, it was crazy. And they called him the Crippler, which mean that Chris Benoit would go in the ring and literally stretch the hell out of you. But yeah, he was another student of the dungeon, and he admired his hero was the Dynamite Kid.
Yeah, Dynamite Kid, yeah.
But the Dynamite Kid, when I actually got older and I started learning about his steroid and drug use, I realized that the Dynamite Kid wasn't a good person. Chris Benoit was a good person up until the point when he did the tragedy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, everybody said that he was a great guy, and they were just shocked. I mean, to the point where, I mean, there's no way that they would have, the day after they found out about what happened, they would have a 3-hour tribute show to him if they had any just thought that anything out of the ordinary could have happened.
I do believe in our religion teaches us, or what we believe in teaches us, whatever seed you put in the ground eventually is going to grow, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So Chris Benoit actually took woman from Kevin Sullivan. Granted, Kevin Sullivan was a butthole, but she still was a married woman.
Yep. That
cheated with Chris Benoit. So that seed, that planet, was a thorny seed, and it eventually came back to bite everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be such a tragedy if Chris Benoit harmed his wife and he took his own life. But the biggest tragedy is the baby was special needs. Mm-hmm. So that right there is very hurtful. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that he took the life of a special needs child. Because a special needs child has more of your heart than a regular child. Because a regular child can get up, fix himself cereal. Eventually they go off and go out of the eagle's nest, and they go on to do greater things. With special needs kids, you have to be a little bit more nurturing. You have to do this, you have to do that. So to see Chris Benoit harm him, and then to know that he actually performed the cripple across face on the baby. And then when you watch The Dark Side of the Ring and you start learning more things, and you know that that he spent the weekend in the house with dead bodies.
Yep.
And then to know that he actually had the knife under the bed of his son. Like, if he didn't kill him by his wrestling move, he was going to actually stab the baby. But, this is a Simply Incredible podcast. This is not The Dark Side of the Ring. So we're going to segue into Chris Benoit was a good wrestler. And he was from Canada. He was from Canada, but we're not going to get into that. If you want to be depressed and you want to learn more about that, watch The Dark Side of the Ring. These are two guys that love life, and we're going to keep on laughing on the podcast. So let's get out of that hole that we dug ourselves into. Ooh, that was hard. That was tragic.
Yeah. Gosh. I'm just thinking of old school wrestlers. Gosh. Remember Johnny Weaver back in the day?
Johnny Weaver, you had in the 80s, you had I met Jake the Snake Roberts. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
You remember what happened with him and Jake the Snake and
Macho Man?
No, why am I blanking it? Ricky Steamboat.
Ricky Steamboat? Oh, okay. So a lot of people don't realize that Jake the Snake is original inventor. He's the first person to ever do the DDT. Okay? The first person to ever do the camel clutch was Gory Guerrero, Eddie Guerrero's father. But Jake the Snake is the inventor of the DDT. The DDT is a rat poison. As soon as the rat eats the poison, boom, it drops dead. Jake the Snake invented the DDT off of a mistake. He was supposed to grab a wrestler and do another move on him, but he fell back with the wrestler, and the wrestler was smart enough to lay there and after that, he started doing that move. And it's such a cool move, but it was made off of an accident. But basically, with him and Ricky Steamboat and Vince McMahon came to Jake the Snake and said, "Hey, we want you to DDT Steamboat on the concrete." Jake the Snake was like, "You cannot do that on the concrete because literally your head going into the mat, which is protected."
Mm-hmm.
So they said, "Do it, do it, do it." Jake the Snake said, "Okay, fine. Y'all want me to do it? I'll do it." When he did it, as soon as he did it, Ricky the Steamboat had a grapefruit like injury on his forehead, and Jake the Snake said that was the heaviest body he's ever had to pick up in his life. It
sounded like a gunshot going off.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
When his face hit that concrete.
Yeah, it gave him a concussion.
Gosh.
My favorite Jake the Snake story is the Cobra with Macho Man.
Yep.
That Cobra was so mad it would not let go of Macho Man.
It was in there tight. Like, yeah.
Oh my God. Jake the Snake said he tried everything to get the Cobra off of him. And funny thing was with Jake the Snake was Andre the Giant, as big of a legend he was, he literally had a fear of snakes.
He was terrified of that. And Jake would put him in the showers and Andre was like, "Oh, not taking a shower. Not going anywhere near that thing."
Could you imagine? Could you imagine the biggest man in the world? You got something that can scare him, that can keep him in check. So.
I was like, wow. I mean, we can go on for hours on stories about Andre too.
Yeah, Andre was an iconic character. The tragedy about Andre is that by the time I grew up and I started watching him, he was a full-blown, in the wrestling business, we call him heels, which is basically a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was growing up, he was a bad guy, but I didn't know that Andre was a good guy all those years.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah, so
I remember when he turned against Hogan.
Hogan, yeah.
That was it. Was that in Piper's Pit?
Piper's Pit. He ripped off the shirt and he ripped it off so violently that Hulk Hogan's chest was bleeding, and he actually popped the gold chain with the crucifix that Hogan used to wear. And Hogan was saying that he wanted to cry during that segment, so he had Vicks Vapor Rub on his hand. But if you could watch the way that Andre's the Giant jerking him back and forth, he couldn't put it in his eye to make himself cry. But Hogan said he didn't even need the Vicks Vapor Rub because the situation was so tragic that, you know what I'm saying, he was going to cry anyway.
Yeah.
So.
It's like, gosh. But I mean, like, stories of Andre's drinking are absolutely legendary. But it's a video here on YouTube as well. Andre fart stories.
Oh my God! Even Vince got in on that. Andre loved. They call it. It's not farting. It's called flatulence.
Flatulence. He said, I think it was. Gosh, who was? I can't remember who it was anyway. But he said he was a giant man and his farts were giant too.
Oh yeah, that's probably the referee.
Mean Gene, I think it was Mean Gene. I think
Mean Gene, or it was probably Tim White because Tim White was his.
It was his handler all those years too.
Handler, yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine being one of those big guys like that and having to fly around.
Oh my God! Like the world isn't made for people like Andre the Giant and Big Show. Like Edge was saying that Big Show one time checked into a hotel, and you know how we sit on the foot of our bed, you know, saying that nothing's wrong. He said Big Show tried to sit on the foot of the bed. The bed flipped over and hit him in the back of the neck. It literally did a somersault on him when he sat on the edge of the bed. So that is crazy. You know, people think like the thing about the Big Show and Andre is that Andre didn't have the surgery to stop his stuff from growing. Mm-hmm. So the Big Show did have it, and it prolonged the Big Show's life.
Mhm.
But if you look at younger Andre, you look at the younger Big Show, they were actually skinny giants.
Yep.
But once the Big Show, they went in his nose and cut, because the gland to that secretes growth hormones is right around the nose. You know what I'm saying? It's like right here. It's in this part of the brain. So they went in and they cut it open and they took out the gland, and then they packed it in with bone, and the Big Show healed. But when he healed, he no longer could do half the things that he used to do as an athlete. But if
he
you
was
still
a great basketball player back when he was young.
Great basketball player.
He went to he got to Tennessee. I think.
Yeah. Well, I know he's from the Carolinas, I think.
Yeah, because I was thinking he went to he started going to the University of Tennessee to play basketball, but he got that operation and he just wasn't the same.
It wasn't the same. He blew up like 6 pant sizes bigger, and the thing about Andre was he never got the surgery, and so his bones began everything, his organs continued to grow to the point where it became more comfortable for him.
Yeah.
So
they said his last few years he was just in pain all the time.
Real bad pain. Matter of fact, when he did a match with Hogan, he had just had surgery, but he still wasn't able to really walk around the ring.
Yeah.
So a lot of people that had matches with Andre had to work around him, and they had to allow Andre to have his balance by bear hugging them and standing up and stuff like that. So
what was it, WrestleMania 3 in Toronto?
That was WrestleMania 3, Hogan versus Andre.
Yeah, they said they to get him to the ring, they had to get those carts.
Yeah,
and
the carts.
That they actually did that because they're like, he can't get to the ring.
The only person that didn't take the cart was Ultimate Warrior.
Yep.
They said
he was blown up by the time he got there.
Yeah. The story, the Ultimate Warrior DVD, he said Vince was like, he said the guy, he said Vince came and was like, okay, Warrior, we got your cart ready. He's like, Vince, I'm running to the ring. And Vince handlers kept telling him like, okay, we got the cart ready. He was like, Vince, I'm running to the ring. And Vince was like, all right, guys, you heard him. He's running to the ring. But when you talk about WrestleMania 3, what drew people was Hogan versus Andre. But because you're a purist, I'm going to let you say it. What match stole the show in WrestleMania 3?
Macho Man versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Ooh, yeah.
Some people to this day consider should I say this, considering the last pay-per-view, the greatest match of all time?
Match of all time. Yeah, yeah. Like Edge and Randy Orton, they can go, but that was pre-planned. Yeah. Like nobody knew that Steamboat and Macho was going to steal the show. First of all, you got Ricky Steamboat, one of the greatest wrestlers hands down.
Yep.
And then you have Macho Man, one of the greatest wrestlers hands down. But see, here's the key to Macho Man. Macho Man would plan out his matches from beginning to the end.
They said he would write it down and give the other person the notes of it.
Ricky Steamboat said he had 99 moves on how they was going to do the match. And what we was talking about calling the matches earlier is usually you let the veteran or the person that's more respected in the match call the match. They can either call it in the ring or they can pre-plan it back in the locker room and you just have to memorize it.
Yep.
But Macho Man was such a stiffler, he would write it down and you would have to remember what he wrote down. Now, talking about Hogan and Andre, Vince came to Hogan and he said, okay, Hogan, you got this match. How would you put it on? And Hogan wrote down the match about how he would do with Andre. But he told Vince, do not show Andre because it's a sign of disrespect that he would even write the match down.
Yep.
But when it came down to the match between him and Andre, Vince did show Andre the note, and Andre followed the match that Hogan said to the T. But Hogan wrote the match in order to protect Andre from the bad back and to not exploit the fact that he was hurt. But Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Macho Man had 99 points in the match, and Macho Man said, point one, lock up. Steamboat was like, okay, we know you're going to lock up, right? So why would you even write that down? And he was like, okay, so you got 99 points. How am I supposed to memorize this? He said, you can't memorize it. And Macho Man was like, yeah, I can. He said, okay, show me. He said, okay, point one, blah, 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 blah. Point two, blah, 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 blah. Macho Man knew the match down to the T that he was going to do with Ricky Steamboat, which is awesome. So when you talk about the greatest matches of all time, you got to understand that Macho Man actually planned that match from the beginning to the end. So Macho Man has to be one of the greatest wrestlers that ever lived, period.
Yeah, because I know so many of the matches, they basically plan a beginning and the end, and then they kind of free flow in the middle.
Free flow everything else, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, he was so meticulous.
So meticulous.
Every little thing, he's like, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing that. That's like, golly.
They call them ring generals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you got Triple H, who is a ring general, but the ultimate ring general, or the first person that actually coined that phrase, was the first Intercontinental Champion, which is
Pat Patterson.
Good God, see?
But, there's still controversy of whether or not that's true.
What about the Intercontinental?
Yeah, they said that apparently he supposedly won it. Was it in Mexico or Puerto Rico or somewhere?
Uh-huh.
But it just magically, he's got the title now.
Oh my God! like they coined him as the first Intercontinental champion.
Yeah. I mean, everybody says that's how it happened, but people have said, "Well, did that really happen that way?" It's just like all of a sudden there's a belt that's around his waist.
Okay, he's the ultimate ring general, Pat Patterson, and Pat Patterson is, if you look at The Rock, Chris Jericho, or one of the greatest of all time, Shawn Michaels. Pat Patterson is the one that they go to for advice. He was actually in WWE. You actually have agents who work with certain wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
And Pat Patterson was the agent for Shawn Michaels.
Pat's been there forever.
And Bret Hart. So.
I mean, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Pat's still there to this day.
Yeah, Pat Patterson. In the words of the great J.J. Dillon, in the words of the great J.J. Dillon, is Pat deserves the credit, same credit as Vince McMahon, because he was always the guy that was one step behind Vince McMahon that made the WWE what it is today.
Mm-hmm. Now, go ahead. I was going to say one guy. I was going to go forward to the ring general stuff, but if you want to finish with that, go ahead.
No, I'm with this.
Okay, because they said Stone Cold, he needed to be a ring general live because he just couldn't hear.
Stone Cold is actually Stone Cold. A lot of people don't realize when he got to WWE, they had him more in a brawling style. But if you go back and watch some of his matches in WCW, Stone Cold was as technical as any wrestler ever.
Yeah.
On down to the fact that he stole the Lou Thesz press from Lou Thesz. So Stone Cold has always been, to me, one of those wrestlers where he wasn't allowed to show his technical side because he was too busy showing his WWE Attitude Era style. One of the greatest matches I've ever seen with Stone Cold, a lot of people haven't seen this match, was between him and RVD. His music hit, he came out there, he threw that belt down, and him and RVD proceeded to have one of the most violent but technical matches I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So,
see, RVD, I don't think he gets his credit either because everybody just sees him as the guy that can jump off the top rope and throw some karate kicks.
Yeah, RVD actually
very technical wrestler.
I've actually seen he actually didn't start off in ECW. He actually was in WCW for a time.
Gosh, I do not remember him there.
Yeah. Yeah, if you go back and get his DVD called One of a Kind, WWE actually acknowledged him being in WCW. Edge actually didn't start off in WWE either. Edge started off in WCW. But with WWE, if it didn't happen there, it didn't happen at all.
That's someone else I have no recollection of being there. I remember him in Canada and then coming. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he started off at WCW. Triple H started off at WCW. Of course, Kevin Nash was in WCW before he came over and became.
Gosh, he had that really stupid gimmick.
He had a couple of.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was.
Now, when he was Big Daddy Cool, I thought that was a great gimmick.
Yeah, Diesel.
Yeah, working with first off being Shawn Michaels' kind of bodyguard.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even realize that Kevin Nash was in Ninja Turtles 2.
Yep,
Secret of Ooze. He's a super shredder.
Yep.
So he was at Punisher. He was a Russian.
When we had that blonde, or was it blonde hair?
Yeah, the Russian. Yep.
Yeah. Well, that was a great fight they had. Scene in that.
Yeah. He that was a very violent scene too.
Mm-hmm.
But
I didn't have that for that kind of movie.
Yeah, he in The Longest Yard. So Kevin Nash is an accomplished actor. Period.
I haven't seen it, but the ladies tell me he was in Magic Mike.
Yeah, too. Yeah, I heard.
I haven't seen it.
No, I haven't seen it either. But I heard him and Ric Flair is in Magic Mike 2.
Flair is in that. I didn't. I thought he was in. I thought Nash was in both of them, but I didn't know.
He might be. I don't. You won't catch me watching Magic Mike.
Like I have no interest in it, but people are like, Big Sexy was in it. Like
they said the actual movie is not about what we think it's about, but I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. I like the movie The Wrestler though. I thought that was a good movie.
Yes, and to hear that the movie was actually based off of Ric Flair, I'm like, how? But they that's what the constant rumor is, that The Wrestler was based off of the life of Ric Flair.
I see no resemblance of those two lives.
I don't see any either, because I know Ric Flair has always been well off in his career. So.
Well, I do know he's had a lot of financial problems for a while, but
he's had a lot of problems.
Yeah, where he had to, it makes me so sad to think that somebody like Ric Flair had to sell. I mean, just about everything he had, like some of his robes and stuff.
Yeah. Especially the tragedy of his son Reed.
And which is why Charlotte started wrestling.
Yep.
Excuse me, Ashley, back in the day.
Yeah. I'm just young, but yeah, for people that don't know, Reed was Ric Flair's son, and he was the one that was going to go out for wrestling, and he actually passed away from drug abuse problems.
Yeah, he was over in, was it China? No, Japan when it happened?
Yep.
I think it was Japan, yeah.
So I know that was tragic for Ric Flair, because he was so proud of Reed. He actually invested a lot in Reed's wrestling career.
Mm-hmm. But I just thought about this. I completely forgot. But was it? In my mind, I think it was in WCW when they did an angle at Ric Flair's house, and Charlotte was in one of the scenes there.
Charlotte was. Reed was a way younger. Reed was the actual youngest of all the kids, but I
remember David was wrestling for a while, and he just couldn't hang.
It wasn't that they put Dave in bad positions. He was used as basically like in terms of wrestlers, he was used as a tackling dummy. So they had him in all kind of bad situations where it would cause Ric Flair and him to look bad, even to the point where I remember one match, Ric Flair was covering him as some wrestlers were beating him up with a chair. So they kind of Ric Flair blames himself for it, but they used Dave almost like as a weak link. It's almost like when you look at Mysterio and Dominic, how Brock Lesnar and Eddie Guerrero picked on Dominic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Gosh, it seems like it's been forever ago that they had that that match for the custody of Dominic.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It seems like it's been forever, but wow. And I think he's going to be wrestling now. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's tall too. He's taller than his father.
Well, that's not hard to do.
That's not hard to do. Yeah,
All right, what do you think the worst wrestling gimmick has been?
Kazari, that wrestling pirate, what they try to do off of Pirates of the Caribbean, Kazari. But
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, one of the worst wrestling angles, but it was worse, but it was very entertaining. Was Shawn Michaels versus Shawn Michael and God versus Vince. I was like, Vince, for real? And they had God as like,
I remember that too.
They had God as like this. They had God as like the spotlight that came. Oh, it was such an idiot. This is such an idiot.
I see. The first thing that came to my mind when I was thinking about that just now is WCW when they brought Kiss in, and they had the Demon wrestler.
Oh my God!
I was like, that was awful.
And then they one of the lowest ratings that WCW has ever had was a live Kiss concert.
Mm-hmm.
So
then that time they had like a month lead up to an egg cracking and the gobbledygooker come out.
And that almost was Mark Calloway. That was almost Undertaker.
Wow. You know what? I remember that now, but you first said, I was like, wait, what? Yeah, that's true.
And then it ended up being Eddie Guerrero's brother,
Chavo. Chavo, yeah.
It was Chavo?
Yeah, Chavo. The gobbledygooker.
Thank God it wasn't Undertaker. Thank God.
The dead man coming out of an egg. Maybe his name would have been The Yoke.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize when Undertaker first debuted, his name actually was Kane the Undertaker.
Yep.
So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you know Paul Bearer? He was an actual mortician.
Certified mortician. Yep.
I remember seeing him when I went to WrestleMania in Miami.
Okay.
And that voice.
Percy Pringle.
Percy Pringle, yeah.
He actually used to try to be Bobby Heenan, but when Vince got Mark Calloway and turned him into the Undertaker, he said, "Hey, I'm gonna put this guy with you," and that's when Paul Bearer broke out. It became his own character, but I always tell my kids, I'm like, you just don't understand the reason why I have so much respect for the Undertaker is because this was the first wrestler, the only wrestler that ever truly scared me when I was a kid. Like, he literally scared me. I used to literally get chills up my spine when I heard, "Welcome, welcome." Oh my God.
He made his first appearance, was it at SummerSlam?
SummerSlam, yep. And then
you see kids literally crying.
Crying. Literally scared out their boots. And what tripped me out was Undertaker quickly became the WWE champion less than a year after he first debuted, which is pretty cool. Because during that era, it was Hogan, nothing else.
Yeah. Because that was before the Attitude Era come in. I was like, every day.
The Attitude Era wasn't even, I don't even think half the wrestlers were born. Well, no, let me stop. But I think that most of the wrestlers were my age during the Attitude Era, that around that time. I know
I'm an old fart, so.
Well, me and you are like in that mid kind of generation. Yeah. And I know Edge was saying that he was at the WrestleMania where the Ultimate Warrior met Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
So
was that 2, 3?
That was 3 was him and Andre. So
yeah, I knew it wasn't 3, but my first thing that comes to mind, it was 2. Warrior and I'm probably wrong on that though.
It was probably up there like in the 6s or something like that. First WrestleMania was Hogan and Piper.
against Mr. T, and I mean it was Hogan and Mr. T against Piper and it wasn't Bob Orton.
You talking about Mr. Wrestling, Mr. Paul Orndorff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was WrestleMania 1.
Yeah, that was one.
It was called the War to Settle the Score because I remember that one because they had MTV had just started and they actually Cyndi Lauper was real hot at the time because of the Goonies soundtrack.
Yep.
And, also
still one of my favorite movies, by the way, The Goonies.
Oh man, who would have thought Thanos was in that movie? You know.
Mm-hmm. So, were they also in Stand By Me?
He was in a couple movies.
Because I'm thinking he was one of the kids in Stand By Me.
He probably was.
Or The Explorers.
But I remember, I just remember him from The Goonies, and then when you fast forward it into No Country for Old Men, and he's in a couple of them. Deadpool 2, it's Cable.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was Cable and Thanos. Like, that's not a bad little career right there.
He was actually in American Gangster with Denzel Washington. He was a critic. So
I will put Denzel against anybody. To me, maybe the greatest actor ever.
Yeah, Denzel is.
Ricochet is still one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, I forgot about Ricochet. Ricochet was a pretty good movie. Denzel's had a lot of good movies. I think one is called Fallen with him and the Angels or something like that.
Gosh, I don't remember that.
The Angels is jumping in people's bodies, and they were all singing this song or whatever. Yes, Inside Man.
Inside Man, great movie.
Inside Man, Man on Fire, Training Day, Malcolm X. Yeah, he's a pretty accomplished actor.
What was that movie where John Q? Really liked that movie as well.
Where his son was in the hospital?
Yeah, he was just trying to get help for his son, and they wouldn't take care of him.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Good movie. Good movie.
Yeah, when you talk about Denzel, like I know he's a great actor, but then too, you got Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks to me blows my mind. He went from being a cross-dresser in Bosom Buddies to being on an island with a volleyball to playing a person with HIV and AIDS. It blows my mind, his career.
Yeah, one movie shows his acting range perfectly, and that is Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump shows his acting range. He's just Tom Hanks is one of the. The crazy thing is you hear people talk about him, but they don't give him the credit.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he's going to be one of those type of people when he actually passes. People are going to be like, "Oh man, one of the greatest actors of all time."
What do you think Jenny died from in Forrest Gump?
It was strongly hinted towards HIV.
See, that's what I always thought, but I think the director said at some point she had hepatitis C, and that's how she died from the needle use.
Okay.
But I mean, when I watched it, I always thought it was from HIV.
Because around the time that she caught it,
yeah,
around the time
it was in that early 80s. Early
80s going up. Yeah.
So that's what I always thought, and people were like, "Yeah, well, did you think?" I'm like, "That's kind of what I'm thinking," but I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
So I've always thought it was AIDS, but who knows?
Yeah, still a great movie.
Yeah, I actually saw it probably like a couple of months ago in Target, and I realized I didn't have it in my collection, so I definitely had to get it, even though I know the movie back and forth. But what I try to do is movies like that, I try to watch them maybe like once every year or so, year and a half, so I don't play them out.
See, next week we're doing that podcast on 80s movies. I was like, was that in the 80s? Like, no, that was early 90s.
That was early 90s. 80s, you talk about like Gremlins and not even Gremlins too, but like Gremlins and stuff like that.
Batman.
Batman was almost 90s. It's 1989.
At 89. It counts for my 80s.
Yeah, it
The
does.
Goonies was one of my all-time favorites.
Goonies, any Tim Burton where you got like Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands.
Scissorhands was that in the 80s?
I think Scissorhands was almost before Batman. I'm not sure.
I think you're right. Yeah, because my first thought was early 90s. So I'm like, I don't know. I think it is early 80s. Well, I mean, I think Tim Burton and Johnny Depp, they have quite the relationship with each other.
Well, Tim Burton is like Spike Lee. He always tries to use the same actors. Or even like Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie uses the same actors. His wife.
It has like his wife and like 3 other guys.
Yeah, that's it.
And Adam Sandler, same way.
Yeah. Adam Sandler, the thing about him is people used to criticize him about how his movies are always just to excuse to take him and his friends on a vacation, but who cares? The movies are still funny. Like Grown Ups is super hilarious to me.
I'm gonna have to differ on that one.
Which one did you not like?
I didn't like either one of them. Well, yeah, you know what? I don't even know if I saw the second one, but the first one to me, I felt like I was watching a group of friends, and there's an inside joke that I don't know because they're always laughing about something.
Now the second one you'll really like, because they put Stone Cold in the wig in that one. Oh my god, it had me cracking up. I like 50 Feet. Like, just go with it. I think Don't Mess with His Own Heart was a little weird, but it was still funny.
I'll tell you that movie. Right at the very beginning, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this too much. When he had that fish,
Yes.
I'm like, this is gonna be some direction I don't think I'm gonna like.
He has this young Jewish guy, the boy who played the son. But he is hilarious to me. He has a stand-up that I used to watch back in the day, and that guy is super funny. Super funny. So,
man, so much good stuff out there.
Yeah. So the podcast is the next podcast is when?
We try to do them every Saturday at about 8:00.
Okay. So I'm definitely going to tune in to the next one, and since we got 80s movies, I'll get my stack of 80s movies like right by the, so I could just, hey, this movie and that movie, we can.
I just started thinking about it. I think I wrote down like 30.
Yeah. Because I recently watched. I've been really during the quarantine. I would go to work. But then one of the things I like to do is every weekend I like to get at least 6, 7 old school movies. Movies that I can watch for the weekend. And I ended up purchasing Jaws. And I was just like, oh, it's Jaws. And, it's an okay movie, not realizing how much of a classic it was.
Yeah. Because
when he was throwing the chum in the water, he wasn't paying attention. You saw just Jaws kind of go like this, and then he just happened to peek over while Jaws is doing that. That shot where he kind of like went from this and just kind of like jumped back like that. Such a classic, man. Steven Spielberg he was just such way ahead of his time. But I was saying that to say that, 80s movies like Jaws and, the first Gremlin and Goonies and, just those are classics. You know what I'm saying?
And so about one movie, because I can't remember when it was made.
What movie?
Friday the 13th. I can't remember if late 70s or early 80s.
Jason came out like during the 70s.
1980.
Now, when you talk about 80s movies, you talk about Friday the 13th, because part 3 didn't have. Oh, I'm talking about Michael Myers. I'm sorry. When you talk about Jason, Freddy, those are the classic 80s horror movies.
Yep. I remember when I was a kid, we would go and get the horror magazines, and you would see some of the kills in it. They don't put those on the shelves for kids anymore.
Yeah, that was the time of the oversized magazines. They don't even have those anymore.
Mm-hmm. It's like, gosh. Oh, man.
So,
I think that was like for me anyway, was the generation of horror films.
oh yeah.
And then you had the complete flip side. You had the John Hughes films, like the Pretty in Pink. It had that Brat Pack back in the day.
I was just watching Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
So
I love that movie, by the way.
yeah. A classic 80s movie. Well, I don't want to kind of give it away, but a classic 80s movies that a lot of people don't know that's cult classics is Young Guns. Young Guns 1 and Young Guns 2.
Yep. I got to write those two down because I forgot about them.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Those and like I said, I'm just going to put a whole bunch of 80s movies to the side and, we'll just,
Have you ever seen At Close Range?
Huh?
Have you ever seen At Close Range?
No. What movie is that?
It was with Sean Penn and his brother. They were these two kids, and they were poor, and it's just their mom was raising them and trying to keep their dad away. Because it turns out he's like a best way I can say it is like a gangster in the Midwest.
Wow.
I mean, but this is during like the 80s.
Okay.
So it wasn't set in like back in the day.
Okay.
So, but he went around and stole like this big heavy machinery that farmers and stuff used and selling it and had a racket going there.
Wow.
And then Sean Penn decided he wanted to get into it. It's a really good movie, but it's got kind of a tragic kind of ending to it, but really, really good. Mary Stuart Mastrantino, I think Master. Anyway, she's in this movie too. Really good movie.
I'll definitely be writing some of these titles down because I'm looking for a lot of these titles and it's hard to find. Like I was looking for, I think it's the 90s, which was Drop Dead Fred.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up finding it on Amazon, but it was like $14 plus shipping.
Mm-hmm.
So,
gosh, man, good old 80s movies. Heathers, do you remember Heathers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Howard the Duck.
I don't even want to write that one down. Episodes 5 and 6 of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we're not going to talk about those because we just did a podcast for those.
Okay.
Batman we're probably not going to do because we just did a ranking of the Batman movies.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. Hey, would you want to be on it if we have a spot?
Of course.
All right. I'll let you know sometime during the week because, like I say, generally we would have had 3 or 4 people, but they all had family stuff. Which I'm always like this: if you can't be on, family first.
Yeah.
I give respect for people doing that.
But now I see how easy it is for a podcast. This is a learning experience for me because, I didn't know how easy it was to kind of do a podcast. I'm more of a, solo kind of act, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, I want to do more solo stuff, but I just got nothing to do. I just put a camera staring at me as I watch TV.
Yeah, it's always good to, to have somebody to bounce ideas off of. And, the stuff we're talking about, I'm sure there's people, that knows what we're talking about that's interested anyway. So
there's going to be some people, because I think we started talking about wrestling at around a little over an hour. We talked about 2 hours on wrestling. It'll be like, where's the next stuff about comic books coming? I'm still talking about wrestling. Still talking about wrestling. Because you know what? I'm like this, man. If we're having fun, it's good enough for me, man. It's working.
Oh, yeah. And then, a lot of wrestlers are into comics anyway. So,
yeah.
You'll be surprised how those worlds collide, where wrestling and comics collide. So,
like action figures, there's a lot of them in action figures.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, they have the Major Wrestling Figure podcast.
Huge. Mm-hmm. Another guy that surprised me that's really into wrestling action figures was Apple from, what is that? What's that group called? Black Eyed Peas. He's a more long hair that kind of looks Native American.
Mm-hmm.
He was into collecting wrestling figures and also to Jordans. But see, I knew to never get into wrestling figures because I know that's a whole nother can of worms.
Oh, that's a rabbit hole. My goodness. I bought. I think the only two that. Well, that's not true. I was about to say the only two I had was a Shawn Michaels and a Stone Cold, but I forgot. There for a while, I did buy a bunch of Elite figures.
Those were worthy, and I had to walk past those and grit my teeth because Lord knows, you know, they got a Ric Flair one that's out there that is worth so much money.
Yeah, and like one of my favorite figures, and most people be like, "Why would you like that?" But The Miz, again, a huge fan, but it's for the WrestleMania where he had the belt against Cena.
Oh yeah. Well, he was in the all maroon.
So I'm like, yeah. When I saw that, I gotta get that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Then the Rock, his first appearance one.
As Rocky Maivia. Yep.
Yeah, he had that big grin on his face, had those tassels going, that big floppy hair.
Rocky Maivia.
The Rock. All right, well, we've been on 3.5 hours. I think it's time to lock it down.
Okay, so we're gonna do the plug for next weekend. Next weekend we'll do the 80s movies, and now my thing is when I always end my videos, I always say that focus on the ones that show you love and on the ones that don't show you love. Hey, we're just gonna keep our world without them. Everything that you touch will be blessed, and I'm Fred Hall, Direct Edition. I can't wait till the next podcast.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it so much.
No problem, D. You can text me anytime or just email me. You got.
Yeah, I got you on Instagram now, so I can message you that way instead of sending an email and going, I hope he sees it.
Definitely. It was fun, D, and I appreciate you inviting me out, man. Y'all be safe through all this quarantine, and don't watch no more than 10 minutes of the news because the news has a ability to take your positive day and turn it negative. So stay focused on the good things in life right now, because even though we're going through what we're going through, it's a very exciting time. It's just so much beautifulness, and at the same time too, man, I wish I was going to school around this time, man. These kids are spoiled, man. I'd be at home sleep, eating pizza. Quarantine? Man, please. I wish we had something like that when I was growing up.
I may or may not have put on about 10 pounds.
I think I did too. So, man, you're my big brother, man. I love you guys. I love you, big brother. Thank you for letting me out. And yeah, man, everybody just be safe, man.
That's right. Thank you guys. You guys have an incredible day.
Peace.